put your argument on the table for all of us, and we'll assess.
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to say it's actually good to be. I was surprised that I'm on. I was surprised that I'm on this show with Newcastle, Man United, Liverpool. I'm pleasantly surprised actually because the last two shows I've been on this, I've been with West Ham, bloody Wolves, like relegation contenders. So I actually
Yeah.
graduated to the higher echelons of the Premier League.
I don't even know my man, but I've got a bone to pick with him, you know. If it wasn't for you lot last season, we'd already have a treble just sat there getting polished. You wouldn't be mudded right now if you man were able to do your job. So you don't deserve to be sitting at this table right here.
Here we go.
Yeah. Well, we had your legend as our manager, and that didn't turn out very well. So yeah. But yeah, I think we seem to be eternally in 11th position as it stands, and we're almost destined to finish 11th. However, when we look at the league table, we are 4 points off Liverpool in 6th. So, and we if we looked at the table since Unai Emery took over the club, there's been a lot of kind of on Villa Twitter, there's been a lot of talk around that. We're 3rd in the league or something like that since Emery took over. There's been some debate about number of games played and stuff like that, but undeniably the form has been great. The football that we're playing is really good. He's obviously nominated for Manager of the Month. And I think 3 out of the 4 months that he's been in charge, we've been unbeaten in 3 out of the 4 months, albeit the 4th month of that, we lost every game, but we won't talk about that. But yeah, so look, we've beaten teams below us. Coming up after the international break, we've got to play Chelsea, Brighton, Fulham, Newcastle, Liverpool, Man United. They're going to be the test. Like, can we beat the teams that are slightly above us and put our money where our mouth is, essentially? And that's going to be the test. Otherwise, we'll just be 11th for the rest of the season.
Like, who are the, you talked about the manager coming in and doing a really good job and turning things around. On the form table, it looks pretty at the moment in terms of what you've been putting together. Who has made the difference for you? What players have made the difference for you that have put you in this position right now?
Ollie Watkins, 100%. He's like a different player since the World Cup break. And went on that run of scoring 5 goals in 5 games, and then he's had, I think it's something like in the 14 games or something that Emery's been in charge, he's contributed goals in 11 of them. So whether that be goals or assists, so he's been brilliant. Tyrone Mings has been fantastic, as well as as some of the other defenders. Again, echoed by his nomination for Player of the Month this month. And and I guess just the system that we're playing seems to be suiting some of the players. Like, I was massive on Steven Gerrard. I really wanted him in. I thought he'd be ruthless. I thought he'd be a winner. I thought he'd have that kind of edge to make us better. But he didn't have any coaching ability. And when we look at he made
assessment. That's a scathing assessment, that, bro.
It's just saying what we're all thinking.
He may develop it. I'm not saying he's a bad manager, but in terms of a coach, Unai Emery is just a different gravy to Steven Gerrard. And Michael Beale was a massive part of the Steven Gerrard team, and he lost Michael Beale, and then Neil Critchley came in and was, we've seen what he's done at QPR. So that's just exactly what happened. But yeah, it's the system that we're playing. We're playing, we've got options on the ball. He's really big on, like, players doing exactly as he says. Now that might turn out to be, stifling the players later on down the line, and he might get criticism. But at this moment in time, the players are really reacting. So it's hard to pinpoint one or two. It's hard to pinpoint exactly, a number of players. But Ollie Watkins has been great, and yeah, Tyrone Mings I'd probably say are the standouts, as well as one or two others. Douglas Luiz has been excellent. John McGinn has been excellent. So yeah,
he goes under the radar, John McGinn, I think, doesn't he? He does go under the radar a bit. I really rate him. I do. I love him. Quality.
Yeah, he's just got that all action style. But what Emery's helped him with, under Dean Smith and under Gerrard, he was we played like a three midfield, and they were just so stretched out, and he had a lot of work to do, and a lot of his passing was off because he was having to do so much work to kind of create a pass for himself. Whereas when we're playing this boxing midfield, he's always got Emi Buendia, Douglas Luiz, Jacob Ramsey, all the defenders to pass to, and it's just making his job so much easier. And at the moment, the players are playing with a lot of confidence.
I'll come over to the other side. So, Adam, I'll come to you. From your perspective, Villa, do you see them, as Brighton, who have been flying high at times this season? Do you see them as a threat to your position? I was really surprised when I looked at that live league table as what it was, and that we're only 4 points separating you. Does that worry you in any sense going into the latter part of the season?
It all worries me. I've got a nosebleed even being on this podcast talking about Europe. It feels weird. I'm terrified that at any moment this bubble just bursts and we're suddenly somehow in 16th again and talking about relegation. So I'm sharing in that heartache that you've got as well around Villa. Look, on the positive side, I can hardly believe what on earth has happened this year. We're semi-finals of the cup. League position wise, if you look at our form, we didn't really deserve to lose that game against Fulham either, and that's pretty much the only game where we've lost this year in 2023 so far. And what De Zerbi's come in and done after essentially the team and the staff have been gutted by various lovely clubs around the Premier League, most notably Chelsea, we've ended up with somehow a better situation. And we all would thinking, oh God, at what point are we going to get how is our relegation battle going to play out? Because if you think about it, when Potter and co left, the season had kicked off. We were already going through it. It's unbelievable how it's played out so far.
Can I ask you a question, bro, if you don't mind?
Please, yeah.
We've got Lawless on one of our shows that we do through the week, yeah. And he seems to be the one of the last remaining ones in our European show, but obviously in a bit of a precarious situation within the league. Would you prefer to go the distance in the FA Cup now and sacrifice a European spot this season from that? But I suppose FA gets to Europe in a roundabout way as well, to be fair. But what would you place the weight on from that perspective?
I'll answer that question the same way Roberto De Zerbi answered it in his press conference after the game at the weekend. We want both. So look, Man United are a weird outfit, as we've seen, right? And I'm sure, Dan, you're going to dig into this, but anyone can win the cup at this point, right? When you're down to 4 teams, it's a cliche to say it. And then with just the way this table's shaping up, my focus at the moment is all on that Brentford game that we have coming up soon, because I think that feels like a 6-pointer if you can have one at this stage in the season when you're in 7th and 8th. So yeah, look, if we get any form of European football, Errol, to answer your question, we'd be ecstatic. So I don't care how we get it.
Fair play.
Interesting. Lewis, I'll come to you because we've shifted tact. I'll come back to Rich in a second with regards to Villa, but we've shifted tact a little bit to Brighton. What are your thoughts on Brighton's season, and what are your thoughts on them genuinely being in that fight for anywhere between 3rd and 7th in the league?
Yeah, well, they at the start of the season they were one of my predictions for Champions League, I've got to say, and I still think that's possible. I think they're an incredible side. I think they play the best football in the league, possibly apart from on their day Liverpool. I love watching them play. I think.
Look at that smile.
Yeah,
he knows ball, man. He knows ball. What can I say?
Yeah, they're such.
What day is that? What day is that they play their best football?
The 7th day of the week when we win 7.
I've got a long memory. Brighton's such a well-run club. The manager's come in and possibly moved upwards from where Potter was. There just seems to be some fantastic scouting at the club. And Adam's right. We've got a big game coming up on April the 1st, which could be quite significant in terms of understanding which out of Brentford and Brighton are going to get the upper hand really in the table. But I wouldn't rule Brighton out of a run for that 4th Champions League place. I think they're a real threat for that, and I can't see them finishing below 7th or 8th. I really can't.
I'm glad you said that and not me, by the way. I'm I'm sweating just thinking about that.
Yeah. I live in Brighton as well, so probably just next door to you, Adam.
Brilliant. So, look, interesting. You've got them for Champions League, or you had them for Champions League. You think they might still be in that conversation. Dan, would you agree with that? And to add an addition to that, what do you make of this boy?
Cold. It's cold.
So it's
poor man's Anthony to me, to be fair. And I'm joking.
Well, he literally is a poor man compared to Anthony, to be fair. We didn't want to pay that price for him.
Exactly. We had to. We got terrible executives. No, I think with Brighton, look, we always have every season that romantic story of a team that you wouldn't expect to be fighting where they are. But the word fighting, I think, gives them a disservice, because I think they've gone below the radar. They've just gone about their business week by week. And I think the comment that Adam, I think it was, wasn't it?
Adam, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I think the comment that he said about just focusing on the next game is what Brighton need to be doing here. I think, of course, they want to win in the FA Cup semi-final. Of course, they want to be in Europe, but it's just taking game by game. And the way they've asserted themselves in each game as well, they're not just stealing results. They're outplaying a lot of football teams that they're playing, and they're playing very attractive football as well. So I think, for me, when Potter went, I still think the job was too soon for Potter at Chelsea anyway. But sometimes with certain managers, you hit a ceiling. And I'd watched Potter for a couple of years, and I thought, okay, has he hit his ceiling at Brighton here? I mean, he's obviously taken them from being a team that had struggled, making them a really, well-financed outfit. But the new guy seems to have just taken them and pushed them on that bit further. Now, obviously, the top 6, 7, 8, there's a lot of money involved there. There's a lot of money. Now, I think the biggest reward that Brighton are going to get from this season is they get Europe, fantastic. But the money they're going to get as well, it's going to help massively. Now, you look at the players that they've got involved. Caicedo, United looked at him. Ralph Rangnick wanted him. They absolutely wanted him. But the scouting team and obviously Richard Arnold, who is a pleb, turned it down. So he's not at the level. So it's players like this that they've gone out there, spent little money on, and brought in, which has made them unreal. So I applaud them. Obviously, I won't be applauding them on the FA Cup semi-final when we beat them 3-1. But I mean, other than that, I think they've done all right. I think they're doing really well. I've been really impressed with them.
Errol, you were talking about Matoma as well as a player. Surely you don't need another striker.
I don't know. We'll lose him one at the end of the season. He's got some serious technique, that guy. Some serious technique. He's a quality player. And again, I think the Brighton model it's very reminiscent to me of, and again, no, I hope you don't think I'm throwing salt in anyway, but it's reminiscent of what Southampton were doing almost 4 or 5 years ago. And it's really well constructed. And I think one of the biggest kind of reflections of that is, even though there's been a managerial change, and I think you were really aligned with Potter as well. Potter seemed to get the fans. He seemed to understand that, he was on job with everything he was doing. But the fact that you've got this new manager come in, he's taking everybody under the wing. Adam felt like it could just be straight back down to a drop for a relegation battle. But he's not only kept that level, he's been able to motivate the players to prove that, your manager was getting a lot of credit for you last season and in the beginning of this season. But you lads deserve a lot of credit as well. But the only way you're going to get your credit and your flowers is if you continue this performance levels now for the remainder of the season. And I think that's been a real crucial factor in why they've been so consistent. They've caused Liverpool a number of headaches this season alone already. So absolutely massive credit for what Brighton have done. The one thing, and I've said it a number of times for a number of clubs that are kind of up, and I've said it about Newcastle as well. I made the reference about Pete having a nosebleed the other day on our Euro show. I think at some point, especially at this point now where it is really the business end of the season, I'm almost expecting the teams that don't necessarily have that experience to falter away a little bit. If they haven't got that experience of seeing it out and getting themselves over the line, that could be the downfall. But again, you don't take nothing away. Like for Newcastle, they can take this as a learning curve season. They can take it as, we'll take everything in, we'll soak it all up, we'll get the squad right for next season, and we'll go again. Brighton, I don't know if they'll have that luxury. It feels to me like this is where your momentum is now. This is your chance to really kind of put you in that ranking and like kind of disrupt the flow of things with the model that you've got, because it's almost reminiscent of, and again on a smaller scale, of Liverpool's model that took us as far as it got us for a while as well. I know you're looking like that, Dad. It's true though. Making sure you're getting the right players.
I'm smiling because I'm smiling because my friend is giving it his all and bigging up his team. I'm backing you, mate. I'm backing you.
Football friend.
What do you want from me?
The one that
Adam, I got another thing I will add to what Errol said is, and this is something that I've stunned at. The chap Dezibrio, I can't say his name. Come in. When did he come in? End of October, middle of October.
Yeah, my memory's terrible. But yeah, around then.
Season. He hasn't managed in the Premier League before, and he's got these players not only playing a tune but playing the whole fucking orchestra. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's commendable. I think I'm just more interested to see what he does next season now, because I mean next season's where you judge him, isn't it? I mean this season he's done fantastic, but next season I don't know if you're going to be pulled apart by teams for players. You know, you mentioned the chap behind you on the back of the door there, Casado. There's a lot of players I think that teams will come in and try and buy, but then the other side of that is the Premier League being the Premier League now. They're not £20 million players anymore. You put what price you want on there, and people will have to pay it.
And if they're in Europe as well, if they secure a European spot, some of them lads will think, do you know what? I may as well give it one more season. Literally, might as well give it one more season before I go, because when I go, I'll at least have a European season under my belt as well.
The other thing I was going to say is that you've guys, the thing with Brighton has always been not enough goals. You know, with obviously under Potter, not enough goals, but you seem to have this lad Evan Ferguson who
quality
looks like he's got everything. So he could be a massive star, obviously, like moving forward to solve that goal scoring problem.
Well, he just scored for Ireland as well.
Yeah,
he's 18 and he's an absolute giant of a man as well. He's unbelievable player. Yeah, it's interesting. I agree with everything everyone said. Like that, I think the tail end of the season here is going to be really intriguing, right? Because we do not have the squad depth that everyone else on this call's team has. And if we get any injuries here or anyone's form drops away, we don't have the replacements there. And my big worry is exactly what you've touched on. Next year, all these models work really well as long as you don't sell the farm in one go. And I think that the best example of this model is a side like Borussia Dortmund, where they bring in these players, they find them from smaller leagues, they bring them in from the youth system, and they'll sell one or two at a time. And then if someone else comes in for one of them, like, wait, you're going to wait a year. And they're doing that right now, obviously, with a young English lad who may well make a move to the Premier League, we're all well aware of. My concern is we've sold Mark Cucurella, we've sold Yves Bissouma, we've sold Leandro Trossard. We've given away a lot of players already. Now there's going to be the phone ringing for Matoma. You've brought up Ferguson. We've got Alexis McAllister, who's got a World Cup winners medal. Caicedo, who's been
other lads you've mentioned, they haven't set the world. Apart from Trossard, I know you can't really judge Trossard because it was a January move. But the other two lads that you've mentioned there, they haven't really been hitting the same levels that they hit when he was at Brighton. I think, is that fair to say?
Bissouma and Cucurella, they've been incredibly disappointing. I think the only hope that we have there is that the other players that are still at the club right now look at those and go, you know what, the grass isn't always greener. They're getting paid a lot of money, but do you want to be Bissouma at Spurs right now? And
who's your chief exec,
it's Paul Barber.
Mate, Paul Barber, for the money he got off Everton for Mopé, that's the guy.
Poor Neil Mopé is about to go play in the Serie A. That's the next. He's done already. Yeah, I mean, it turns out the problem was a combined thing, right? It was the strikers we had up front, and somehow we've semi-solved that with an 18-year-old. But also, like Potter's football, you've seen it at Chelsea. Yeah. Like that was the test, right? That's his football. It's pretty, but you're like, well, are you going to score? De Zerbi comes in. He's like, you know what? It's going to be pretty. It's chaotic, and we're going to score more than you. And that's been the breath of fresh air this club has needed.
Hey, Adam, just to...
Can we not? Sorry,
go for Dan.
This is a private podcast now.
Yeah, I was just going to say that we as well as streaming to Villa Park Pod, we're also streaming to get together BHA as well, both on YouTube and Twitch at the moment. But the question I was going to ask you, Adam, and I know Coin of Phrase has also put the question as well, is when we looked at it in our European run-in show the other night, the fixture congestion for Brighton, they've played one game less than us Newcastle and 3 games less than Spurs, let's say. So they have a few games, and they're also in the FA Cup, and it's going to be pretty bunch now between April and towards the end of May. So a lot of games there. Is that a worry for you?
Yeah, it's a bit. Every possible fixture, every situation is a worry, and I think it's not only because we've still got that Man U game has been rescheduled for what feels like an eternity as well, right? So there's a few of them, and these games in hand, they're only as good as if you actually get the points from them as well. So a lot of fans look at them and go, "Oh, great, guarantee 3-6 points," and I look at them and go, "All right, we've got to be careful here, because if not, this table doesn't look quite as nice as we're on the same game." So yeah, it's going to be an interesting run in, and the other piece is the form sustainable? Because there's players that are playing for this club that, like Mitoma, let's be honest, Mitoma on his current form could play for nearly any side in the world. He's been that good. Now, that's probably not the reality. Like, is he going to be doing that in 10 games towards the tail end of the season? Solly March looks like an absolutely different player under De Zerbi. Is he going to do that until the end of the season? So lots of question marks, but we're optimistic.
Can we get Lawless out of here, because Rice has just scored for England? Yeah. And we're gonna be inundated with he's the best he's best in the world.
Hey, listen, that's another 30 mil on the price tag, mate.
This guy.
Listen, England is scoring for England. People said he couldn't do it. He's just done it.
When United again.
Listen, it don't matter. Sit down. He scored. We needed some more European representation on this show. Obviously, Man United, the only other team that's actually in Europe. So I'm here to bring a bit of Europe to Battleground Europe. You know what I mean?
You're all right, mate. We're fine. I've got this. You just crack on with the dishes, mate. We're fine.
Nah, the thing is, you probably won't win it. Like, that's the thing. So we need someone who's probably actually going to win a European trophy this season.
For everyone who's new to Lawless, right? I just want to make this clear. Lawless is that confident he is buying a ticket to the Europa Conference League
final.
Where is it? Where is the final?
You have to buy those.
Fourth.
They gave them away.
And he's going there regardless. He's going there regardless.
Beautiful historic city of Prague. Who wouldn't want to go Prague? It's a wonderful city.
Why not?
Yeah. I know a lot of black.
Yeah. So listen, I'm gonna go. I think we'll win it. We have won every single game in the competition. Only team to do that. So that's why I'm better qualified to be on this show than Dan United, who came through a few scrapey,
Well, yeah, because you played teams like Tesco FC. We went to Barcelona, the new camp, and
here we go.
In fact, I believe we were ahead as well. Did we not knock them out? Yeah, sorry.
Anyone would think you played Barcelona in every round of the competition. That's all you talk about. Oh, we played Barcelona. Who else did you play?
Other than Anderlecht, which notable teams have you played?
We've played Viborg.
Of course, Viborg, of course. Sorry.
No, what was the team we played that actually won the Champions League in the 80s? We actually played Champions League winners. Viborg. Yeah, well, what are you, Tobes? Are you Tobes? In my lifetime. If it's not in my lifetime, it don't count.
Well,
you of all people.
You can't remember it. You can't remember it. You don't got a test.
It's shame
when we talk about your league titles. Then we can't
go anywhere. We can't go anywhere without you doing this.
Oh, I'm just saying, one league title in your lifetime. Then, if that's what we're doing,
I've seen us win everything in my lifetime. My lifetime, I've seen us win everything.
You haven't,
apart from the Europa Conference League.
You haven't conquered all of Europe, my friend. You haven't conquered all of Europe till you win that. Next season, you'll get a chance.
Oh God.
Conquered all of Europe. Not yet, mate.
Well, welcome, Lawless, to the show. Welcome.
It's more chaotic than Darwin Núñez in the boxing.
Well, I'm sure we'll clip that. But yeah,
Bucharest, yes. Bucharest. Sorry.
So
that's
good you
it.
couldn't remember who they were. Bucharest.
Bucharest.
Like, Foxy knows everything. So
He
Foxy
knows,
will
yeah.
he'll always steer you right.
And I think they beat Real Madrid to win that Champions League. So just saying.
To be fair, Barcelona just beat Real Madrid, and if you'll let's give Man U credit again. Last weekend,
we don't need to give.
Lawless.
And he beat Man U 7-0, so technically it's going round.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Europe.
Wait, Bournemouth beat you.
Bournemouth
beat you.
For that. You'll be there at Liverpool at the end of the season. 7-0. We're so proud. Oh yeah, we didn't win anything. Oh, yeah.
Okay, ceasefire for a second. I think before we go on to our next team to talk about, Daz, there's a really good question from Lisa Moore in the chat.
This one, yes, there is.
So let's throw it out there. We'll see what everyone thinks.
Yeah, this one could take all night. Yeah. Here it is. Question for everyone on the panel. If you could pick one player from any of the teams featured tonight to play for your team, who would you choose and why?
We'll work around the houses. So, Daz, I don't know if you want to start or you want to end it, or you want to start with Rich.
Is it a player from each of the teams, or just one player from one team?
One player from any of the teams that we've got here tonight.
Okay, I'll go first, and I'll go to Mr. Dan Lawless. I'll take Declan Rice off you. I think he'd sit lovely in our midfield alongside Bruno.
Really? Even after he left Ireland for England?
I know. I've just about forgiven him for that. But no, he's really, really impressed. And everyone in Newcastle really likes the look of him as well, like when he played against us. So yeah, I'd take Declan Rice.
That time when the Sean Longstaff debate was going on, and he shushed your fans.
Just to be clear, Longstaff got injured in that game. He was out for 5 months. But, we won't go into that. But yeah, Declan Rice, a decent choice there. More than a decent choice, actually. Rich, what are you going for?
I think Villa need a top quality, a good wide forward, because at the moment Leon Bailey's not delivering as well as he could be. I think I'd probably take Rashford, on current form. Yeah, I think I'd take Rashford. Yeah.
Good player. Playing very well at the moment. We'll work from Adam through to Dan. So Adam, who would you take from any of these clubs?
This is tough because it depends. If Evan Ferguson doesn't pan out well, the answer is different. And I'd be half tempted to say Ivan Toney. I'll be honest with you, but I'm gonna go with Van Dijk. I know his form's not been very good. I know it's a weird one, but we've got Levi Colwill playing alongside Lewis Dunk at the moment. He's going to go back to Chelsea at the end of the season. Adam Webster's not been the same player he was, and we're missing someone there. We need a centre back, and I'll be honest, there's not a ton of other gigantic gaps on the team until we get raided in the summer. So the answers will be different in about 5 months.
Interesting, Lewis. From a Brentford point of view, who we
I think we'd find a space for Mo Salah. I mean, it's got to be, with Van Dijk, I'd say, my opinion, is probably the best player out of all the clubs on this stream. I think
this guy knows ball. I like him.
That's two now.
Hold on. Does the club need to pay the wages? Because that answer might not be the same.
Different answer then.
Yeah.
Definitely. Dan, who are you going for?
I mean, there's only one choice. Antonio from West Ham. He's a world beater. He's everything that you want. You want consistency. You want power. So
he's better than Weghorst, didn't he?
Oh, don't start that again.
What's Weghorst won this season? What's Antonio won this season? Apart from a free lollipop from the shop.
Again, Dan, how many times do I have to explain this? You was in the first final of the season, the only final that's been played.
Where were you? Where were you?
No, what do you mean we weren't in that final?
Exactly, because you were crap and you went out.
Okay, but there's still competitions left to be played, so don't start giving it the big one. When
the real answer is, because I mean I wouldn't want to be associated with that scum. Is I would go Caicedo from Brighton, because I think United are very heavily reliant on Casemiro as their CDM at the moment, and we need We need someone in there who's young and is still nowhere near his peak yet. So I would absolutely love to take him to be the guy to take over from Casemiro.
The good thing about Caicedo is he can play when Casemiro's banned as well.
So after season,
most weeks. Yeah.
After season, don't talk to me about that red card because I'm still a bit livid about that.
Yeah, I think do we all agree it was a red card? I'm not going to go into that.
I'm looking forward to Errol. I'm looking forward to Errol's answer because you can only pick one player and your team's shite.
Mate, when you asked that first, I was cherry picking a player from every single team and assembling a new 11 here.
Go on, mate.
To be honest, I was still. I know the maddest thing is, if you'd have asked us this question a year ago, with the greatest of respect to every team on the panel, I wouldn't have picked any of your lads to replace our starting 11. But 12 months down the line, it shows how quick the football landscape can change. I would definitely be picking that lad from Brighton, Caicedo, though. He would go into our midfield. I was thinking straight away, do I get a forward? I got all excited. Do I want Isaac? Do I want another forward? And in the end, I thought, we need a midfielder. If I'm going to do anything, it's going to be a player that's going to see us over the line between now and the end of the season. And
Errol,
yes.
Do you think with how bad Trent's been right back, do you see him moving perhaps into that sort of role moving forward, or do you think that he's just going to stick with right back?
I think we need to get the midfielders around him to be able to protect to protect and preserve what he does, but also give license to other players to be able to ultimately not make us so heavily reliant on his creativity. You can't have your right back as your creative force 3 seasons on the trot, as far as I'm concerned. You need a creative midfielder. You need a forward, a man in that forward line that is a link player, the way Bobby was a number of seasons ago. So I'd keep Trent where he is, but we need the reinforcements around him so we're not overly reliant. But yeah, Caicedo would be my bet, 100%.
Go on then, Lawless.
It's going to have to be Darwin Núñez. Yeah, you love that song, Errol. You love that song.
So that's considering how shit we are. 3 lads from the panel, I just want to make it known, still chose Liverpool players.
No, but do you know what it is, right?
Pity's a terrible thing, Errol.
The only reason is, right, is because, like, if you're asking me who I would take now with David Moyes in charge of West Ham, be Núñez, because I think he would really suit how we play. He would be ideal. The guy's got pace, he's got bags of energy, and I think he fits us massively. He's like a much better Antonio in a way. Which, where you look at someone like
Antonio shit.
Well, that's harsh.
Don't you already have a fairly big and tall striker that you just signed that can't hit the back of the net in Scamacca?
Yeah, he's big and tall, but this is the issue. Just because he's big and tall, it don't mean he's Andy Carroll. That's what Moyes thinks. He thinks he's just a big lump. He's a target man. He likes to take the ball and pick the ball from deep and link up, pass, move, receive the ball, shots from outside the box. That's what he's about. But we don't play that. We don't play to his strengths. So that's the big issue there. Ings, he's not the answer in terms of being our main striker. So like I said, I'm hoping Moyes goes and we do have a manager who will come in and suit Scamacca. But if you're asking me right now, Moyes, I think Núñez comes in and immediately improves our team. So that's the big point.
Who did you say, Pete? Did you say anyone?
He hasn't said anyone yet. And we have no Leicester channel with us. So, Pete, who are you going to go for?
I was about to just give Ash a call and just say, come on, just for a minute. Is a Leicester fan for a sec. But no, firstly, Daz, I don't know about you, but I'm just glad that Botman, Bruno Guimaraes,
after Botman's error against Forest, I think he's got some work to do.
Every centre back,
but he's not been phenomenal last few games. To be fair, he was brilliant. He was brilliant the first half of the season, but
it's the best defensive record in the league.
No one's mentioned a single Newcastle player. Even Ivan Toney got a mention.
No one's mentioned the Villa player. Even not one person's mentioned the Villa.
No. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I would. In my head, I was picking players from all of your squads to begin with. So I would have had Ramirez. I would have had Ramsey from your Villa squad as well.
Ramsey, yeah, I like Ramsey.
If I would have got to choose every single squad, I'd have had one from all of your teams. Believe me, right now, as I say, 12 months and the football landscape for Liverpool is looking hella
It's
different.
so funny because from a fan base, right, they used to say we got the best right back in the world, the best left back in the world, the best goalkeeper in the world, best winger in the world, best manager in the world, best midfielder in the world.
All right, we haven't.
Yeah, there we go. I knew I was going to get you.
That's class, Errol. That's class, Errol.
My choice. It's difficult. It's difficult. I'm going realistic here on a player that I think in the next couple of years we could potentially sign. I am going to go with
Scott McTominay.
No.
Someone had that in the chat.
Yeah, someone did have it in the chat, and I blanked that comment very quickly.
Buy one, get one free. You sign McTominay, you get Fred.
No, it was even more so running further away from that deal. But I've got to be honest, I think that's something that Newcastle fans may have to front up in the summer because that link is not going away. But it wouldn't be my choice. However, if I had a choice, it would be we need players that can score goals, players that we can build and create. So I'd probably go with no, it's not realistic. Rashford is not realistic.
That wasn't the question. It wasn't who would you realistically take. Like most of our
could have one player.
Yeah, I don't think Van Dijk's turning up at the Amex anytime soon.
I don't know, mate. He's been pretty poor this season.
Yeah, true. He might be on the bench.
Mate, if he carries on this season, I'll drive him to you. At the end of the season.
I'm going to say, and I apologise, Lewis, I'm going to say Ivan Toney.
Back to Newcastle.
Are you not all worried about Tony though? I mean, what's the talk with him? Is the ban going to happen? I don't know. It's gone quiet, hasn't it?
You know what? It has gone quiet. I mean, I think it is going to happen. I think it's like when and for how long.
It seems like they're trying to delay it.
Get through to as close to the end of the season as possible. Yeah, I mean, who knows? It's not clear exactly what he's been charged with either, but there's over 100 different offences apparently. So we'll have to see.
Okay, we'll hold that just for a second. Just want to say, 120 in the chat watching live, including 2 streams out elsewhere. Thank you for your support. Just get the thumbs up on the channel and subscribe whilst you're there. Come and join the Loaded family and continue to watch the show right now. And I just want to stick with Brentford whilst we're there, Lewis. And we've talked about Tony but from your perspective with Brentford, this man, just elaborate a little bit more on how important he's been to your team and your progression as a club over the last year or two.
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously a big factor in us going up in the first place and settled in well, I would say, to the Premier League, but he's gone up a level this year. I think we're seeing different parts to his game, and he's improving as a player, no doubt about that, particularly his touch. His first touch is becoming like, that of like a real quality ball player. He's got good vision. He's obviously a goal scorer. And he's a leader as well in the team. I think the other players see him alongside them and feel, confident. And I think it's been noticeable how much he's been able to improve in quite a short period of time. And he looks now really comfortable at Premier League level. And you rarely see a game where the opposition defence can, actually have him in their pocket. That tends to happen very, very rarely now. He doesn't seem to be afraid of anything. All the talk about the ban, you'd never have guessed it from the way that he's carried on. It looks like it's water off a duck's back, So he's been absolutely outstanding for us.
Is that something to do with the manager as well? Sorry, Lewis. Is that?
I think so. Yeah, I think there's a good relationship there. I mean, if you look at our side, with one or two additions, it's pretty much the team that came third in the championship. So I think Brentford rightly get praised for really good recruitment, but what's been most important in the last couple of years is the way that the squad they've got has been developed, and that's got to be good coaching, I think, and making people feel loved and well looked after. And I think Thomas Frank's got, he and Tony understand each other, I think.
So let's assess your chances then, Brentford. You've had a good season, and we'll go back to the league table. You've had a great season so far, sitting in 8th position, 42 points, same as Brighton. Liverpool not too far behind Newcastle that are in 5th. How do you assess your chances of getting European football this season? Are you confident, or do you think it might slip away at some point? What are you thinking right now?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be disappointed, and I don't think any Brentford fan would be disappointed if we held on to that 8th position. I think we'll need I think the odds are against us getting into, is it 6th or 7th for Europe? You'd imagine that Liverpool will kick on. Chelsea are behind us, and obviously going back to the point about strength and depth, that their bench would probably walk straight into the Brentford first team. So I think all it needs is a few key players, maybe Christian Norgard, maybe the keeper. Ivan Toney obviously has got the ban looming over him. We just need a couple of players to not be available for a sustained period of time, and we will find it hard to maintain that position. I mean, we're living the dream. We're really, at heart, we're a 3rd-tier club, really. So for us to be anywhere near the Premier League, let alone in the European places or close to them, is just unbelievable. So I'm not expecting us to get into Europe. If you look at if you talk to the fan base, it's probably quite split anyway as to whether that would be good news for the club or not. Because I'm not quite sure we're ready for that yet. If we can, then it will be unbelievable. It really will be, a bit of a miracle, really. But yeah, I mean, I hope we do, but I wouldn't be surprised if we fall away a bit. If we can hold on to top 10, that would be just an amazing achievement for this club.
Just hold on to Tony next season. Cause I see Kane leaving Tottenham, and I feel like he would fit straight into that Tottenham team if Kane goes. Do you see yourself? Do you see you guys holding on to him for one more season? And Toby, would you take him at Tottenham?
Yeah, welcome Tobes to the show.
Thanks guys for having me. Would I take Ivan Toney at Spurs? Yeah, I would. I wouldn't have said this maybe like a year and a half ago, even so much as probably like a year ago. But I can't lie, I think he's really grown on me a lot, man. And I think obviously Harry Kane does it to a much better extent, but I feel like he allows for an easier transition away from Harry Kane simply because of how he plays. I feel like he's really good with his back to goal. I think he's really good at linking play between the midfield and attack. And the one thing that I questioned was how ruthless he was in front of goal, or he is in front of goal, and he seems really, really goal hungry in this league and is a decent enough finisher, man, and he's strong. So yeah, I'm not even mad at Ivan Toney at Spurs, but I just don't know if Spurs will pay the price that Brentford will ask, because I can imagine now when you look at the prices that are being bandied around, I can't see any reason why Brentford would sell him for anything less than 50 to 60 million.
Yeah.
I really can't.
Well, you have Harry Kane money though. So
Pardon?
Yeah,
you'd have Harry Kane money.
Yeah, we'd have Harry Kane money, but I don't
expect to pay big money for a replacement for Harry Kane.
But that's not my issue. I'm saying that I don't know if Spurs are willing to pay 60 million for Ivan Toney.
Or wait for him as well. So
it also, I guess it
and what
I guess
happens,
it depends
we
as
don't know
well
what
who
happens
they.
You don't know what's happening with his band as well. So
yeah, it depends as well who
We've
Tottenham
waited
bring
all
in as
season for
manager, doesn't it?
Richarlison, though. At the same time,
Surely Thomas Frank's the better signing from Brentford for Spurs.
Yeah, that's it. If it depends who they bring in as a manager,
hold on.
who he will want.
Brentford is it's a sideward step really from Brentford to Spurs, right?
Hold on.
It's only a few minutes.
We're gonna get.
Don't look at me like that. You know you're
We're
going
going to get to the Spurs talk in a second, Lawless. But Rich, I think you had a point on the Tony and Kane just a second ago. What were you going to say before?
I just said it depends who's going to be the manager of Spurs, like whether he'll want him or not, like whether that manager would want him. You know, if they bring a manager in from, you know, the Italian league or Spanish league or whatever, or German league, they'll probably go for players from those leagues. So whether Tony would be on their radar would be another matter.
Brentford are in a bit of a situation with this, though, with Tony, I think, because what you're asking for after the form he's been in, and he has been unreal, is for a team in the summer to spend big on him and wait for him. But then the other side of that is, what if he comes back from this ban and is off it? And doesn't come back and hit the back of the net and score consistently, drops off. So it's a bit of a...
Lewis, is that your saving grace? Is that what you're holding on to? The fact that the ban might stop him having a move this summer?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, it depends when the ban happens and for how long, but that's going to put some clubs off. I mean, the two clubs that I think, obviously, if Kane goes, I can see the potential kind of replacement at Spurs, but I'd have thought Chelsea would be very
are interested, aren't they?
In him.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I don't know if you agree, Dan, but I think United are looking for, they're looking for a target, hence bringing in Veghorst and stuff. Tony
Lewis, Villa usually go for Brentford players as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I know.
So
Well,
we've got history with Brentford strikers.
I know.
We're not against bringing players back. I'm just saying we brought Andy Carroll back.
Different era.
Tony's hot property. He's what is he, third highest scorer in the league. His form, he gets better by the season. I think even if he is out for a while, there's every chance he's the kind of player who's unfazed by that, and I think would come back at the same level and is capable of kicking on as well. To be honest.
How long do you think the ban will be, Lewis?
Well, hopefully no longer than. Well, I don't know. There is talk of 6 months, and I've heard that.
That's half the season, isn't it? And
you could probably place a bet on it. But there's Brentford's got like a conveyor belt of strikers, though, right? Like you've had Mopé was banging the goals in a while back. Ollie Watkins was obviously banging the goals in. You've got Tony. Like, is there not a fourth coming of an amazing Brentford striker coming up?
Well,
next?
there's a player we just signed in January called Kevin Schade, who is raw and untested, but then so was Mopé and Ben Rama and Ollie Watkins as well. We got him from Exeter. So, I think Schade, people are looking at him, who's actually joined as a wide player, but he's got lots of the attributes for centre forward. Same as happened with Ollie Watkins, who we absolutely love still, but he was a winger originally and he got moulded into a centre forward. So he looks like whether it's Tony moving on or Tony being absent because of a ban, Schade is the one that we're expecting to be kind of the Tony replacement. But it's a big ask he's not as strong as Tony for a start. Tony's just, you cannot shake him off the ball. And he's clever like Harry Kane, I think, in terms of picking up fouls all game long, getting between the ball and the defender and then looking for the foul. There are similarities there, I think.
I think England have got a penalty. I think they got a penalty.
Maybe they'll bring Tony on.
Don't give it to Rice. That's the one person. That's the one thing I would say on Rice. Don't give it to Rice.
A Rice double just asks to add.
Price might fall if he does.
But I think it's Kane. Kane will break the record if he does score. But whether that might add a few more pounds onto the potential deal in the summer. But look, we'll get to that in a second. Now, I want to just shift gears slightly and let's talk about this team. Liverpool Football Club. Come on, Errol. This is your opportunity to talk to us and lay it on the table. Where do you stand with regards to European football this season? Do you think you'll get it? If so, where? What have you got to tell us? Come on.
I am going to be honest with all of you here. Liverpool finishing in the top 4, not even in Europe, the top 4, the top tier of European football for next season means more to us than it does for the rest of the teams on this panel. And that's not just for this summer, but I'm talking about our squad being able to remain to the level that we've seen in previous years for the next year and at least the next 2 years. If we falter, that could be the spiraling of this Jurgen Klopp side. We're expecting Jurgen Klopp to take Liverpool to version 2.0. We're expecting a remake. We're expecting a bit of a rebuild, but that rebuild will be massively impacted and it'll have a detrimental effect on us if we don't finish in the top 4 this season. And it's mad that I'm even having this conversation. I know the couple of the lads on this panel will know I predicted Liverpool to finish first at the start of the season. I genuinely believed after how well we did last season, we'd go for it again, but hone in and focus on obviously the Premier League or the Champions League. And we've just been miles and miles and miles off it. So for me, bare minimum, we have to get top 4. I've said for a while as well, if we don't get top 4, I don't want Europe, but it looks like we're not even going to have that luxury. It looks like Jurgen wants top 4, which means the team are going to have to go out and push the top 4. And if we fall short of top 4, there's a chance that we'll be in the Europa League. And I think that will seriously hamper our prospects of landing quality players. I don't think we, I know one person in particular on this panel thinks if we don't get top 4, Jurgen might even leave. So I genuinely don't think, we're going to have the pull and pack. Do you think that as well, Pete?
We both said it on the 12th man.
Well, yeah, see, it's 2 at least.
I think there's a chance he leaves.
I do as well. As it goes on, especially this Bellingham thing. I think this Bellingham thing is a massive.
So from our perspective, it's crucial because unless, and it's been clear, it's been sounded out by the owners, unless there's that level of investment required to go into the playing squad, it's very unlikely that without a top 4 finish, we will go deep with a war chest to go and secure top players across Europe, and that will leave us in a really, really difficult position. It might even leave Jurgen Klopp's position at the club in a difficult stance, which I know would make a couple of man on here happy, but at the same time, that's why for me it is vitally important that we secure that top 4 spot. It's imperative. Like our whole season hinges on us finishing top 4. So any of you lads want to do us a favour out of courtesy for how good we've been the last couple of years, it'd be much appreciated.
Oh, this is how. This is where it sank to. This is where it sank to. This team to ever have been in the Premier League, and this is where we are.
Come on, Errol. Just a question for you, mate. Question for you. What? Obviously, we talked about Liverpool with a bit of an aging side, but which players have you got? Like, let's say the worst case scenario happens and you don't qualify for Champions League and stuff. Which players have you got who have got big resale value that could use to reinvest, like a Brighton do where they sell, for high value? Who have you got that could potentially bring players in with?
To be honest, again, that's a little bit of a difficult one. I'm hearing those ones that are probably on the fringes of that first team for us, because it's easy to say Mo Salah, but Mo Salah's just been put on a bumper contract, and even though there are teams that might pay the price tag for Mo Salah, the wages that then come with him, given the amount of time that's on his contract, becomes very more of a difficult deal to make. He's the obvious one because you just expect him as your talisman. However, I feel the likes of a Jota.
I was just going to say that, Errol, because Newcastle have been linked with him on Newcastle Twitter a lot over the last week or so about a potential signing of Jota. Well, I don't believe it will happen personally, but with you saying that, and with a great question from Rich about who you could generate money for, would that make sense?
Well, we bought him for 40 mil, and in my opinion, he's not lost any value. He's still that level. He's proved it.
What do you think he's worth now?
I'd say between 40 and 55. 40.
Why do you want to sell him?
I don't want to sell him particularly, but if it was a case of where we don't hit our target and we need to let somebody go or be in a position to trim the squad slightly with someone that's going to bring us between 40 and 50 mil. Because I was going to say Jota, I was going to say Tsimikas, and again, depending on the midfielder that you bring in, I could even be persuaded to let Fabinho go, if I'm honest. And that's a big one, but I could be potentially persuaded. Not Thiago.
He isn't going to generate a lot of money, though, is he, Thiago?
Nah. Thiago wouldn't bring us the money in, but it would, for me, it would probably be. We're going to let Kelleher go anyway. So someone said, Gaza said,
what about Gomez as well? Do you think Gomez will go?
I'm willing to drive Gomez to whatever destination my man needs to go.
Another one that's been linked with us.
Curtis Jones will go.
Curtis Jones is probably going to go on a loan, if I'm honest. So there's probably about 4 players where you'd probably get between 30 and 55 mil that you could sell, and then that frees up some price. Liverpool will finish 4th to all the pundits as they have. I don't think we do. Our next 3 games are going to be make or break, but by the 3rd week of April, the conversation could genuinely be that, yeah, we're out of it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
do you know what, Errol?
By the 9th, so by the 10th of April, it could be done.
Errol, I give you a lot of jib, mate, but and I hate saying this, but if any team can get results from those games, it is Liverpool, isn't it? Let's be honest. It is.
We said this the other day. We said this last week. We can get up for Chelsea. We can get up for City. We can get up for Arsenal. We can't get up for Brighton at the minute. We can't get up for Bournemouth. We can't get up for West Ham. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just not capable to put in those type of performances right now.
If you beat Arsenal and lose to Man City, then Liverpool will be my second team. I will be back in Liverpool.
Liverpool can only get up for games on the big stage, like at the Bernabeu, right?
So you're listening to this. How many times in season?
I tell you what, Adam's been on fire tonight. He's been on fire.
I noticed you missed that one out. I just thought I'd bring it up. Yeah.
Honestly, I want to debunk this Liverpool get up for big games narrative. Yeah, because it makes sense when they're at Anfield. When they're at Anfield and they got the crowd behind them, yeah, fair enough. But how many big games away from home have they played well in this season?
We've been shit this season, but Toby, we've not played. No, but we've not played good against. I think we've got 4.
Why do people think that Man City are hitting their stride now? They're hitting stride. They're hitting full. Why do people think that Liverpool are going to go to the Etihad and come away with a good result? I don't understand it.
Bro, I think we've won 4 away games all season. So it doesn't even matter about the big game or the big team. Our away form is muddied. It's not there. So the only thing that game we can cling on to is we might not, obviously, goes without saying, we're not going to win the league, but we might have a say in who does win the league, and that might be enough of motivation for these lads. And again, I'd feel quite sick, to be honest, if they went out there with that mentality to do what Lawless has suggested. But as far as I'm concerned, I feel as though right now we can't do anybody any favors. The only team we've got to look out for is number 1. We've got to go and put the points on the board for ourselves to give us the best chance of finishing in the top 4. That's the end.
This is a show for who can finish top 4. So why is Lawless here?
Honestly, Battleground Europe, and guess who's in Europe?
It's 3rd.
You in Europe?
It's 3rd to 7th. Look.
You in Europe?
Yeah, Pete, it's 3rd to 7th, not 3rd to 17th, mate.
Well,
who's in Europe?
This is what I was going to say. Hold on.
I live in Ireland, so I'm still in Europe. Maybe not you guys.
That is true, Daz. I like that. That is true. It brings a nice segue because we've got 3 clubs. Errol, I know you might have to shoot soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to shoot off.
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me as well. Top. I'll make sure I follow all the handles as well.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure you go and follow Errol.
Good luck Saturday, Errol. Good luck Saturday, mate. Good luck.
Yes.
You get pictures.
Definitely make sure you do. Take care, man. See you later.
Good luck. So, why are you coming for me, when, no offense, Rich, but Aston Villa? What
I think we might be 4 points off 6th, mate. So
really?
To be fair, you're right. I only said what I said because you made that dumb statement about how Brentford to Spurs is a sideways.
You...
You're absolutely right. I don't know what Rich is doing on the show as well, because we're talking about race for Europe, and
hang on, I just said 4 points off 6th. So
and this is, look,
well, we're in the running for it. We're in the running for it. We're third in the league since Emery took over. I seem to think we beat Tottenham at the NFL stadium. We beat them there 2-0. So we'll see what happens.
Rich, you can hammer us 10-0 for all I care. We all know you're not finishing in any of the European spots this season. Please.
That may well be the case. Seventh could get in.
You're not even getting seventh. You're not even getting seventh. Brighton are a better side than you. Brentford have been a better side.
We beat Brighton.
Doesn't matter if you beat them. It's about how many points you can accumulate between now and the end of the season. Are you really confident that you're gonna get Europe? Let's be real.
I'm not honestly, like hand on heart, I'm not honestly confident that we're gonna do it, but we are in the conversation, and it's nice to be in the conversation.
You know what? This is why we brought Rich to the table, because 4 points off 6th place. Unai Emery's got Villa performing, I think, in the top 4 or top 5 in terms of form table in the Premier League. They are on a rise at the moment and cannot be discounted, as is Brighton, as is Brentford.
I'm discounting.
However, and I don't know what Laws is doing right now. I don't know what he's putting up.
I'm just letting the fact that we're in Europe, our results.
No one recognizes what those club crests are. They like Romanian.
Nobody knows who these teams are.
Well, that's because your ball knowledge is
nothing to do with ball knowledge. You wouldn't know them if you weren't playing them. You wouldn't know anything.
You don't know Anderlecht. You don't know Anderlecht.
Yeah, apart from Anderlecht. One team.
You don't know Bucharest.
You didn't know Bucharest. You didn't know Bucharest.
I forgot who we played. Bucharest.
You didn't even know that they were Steaua Bucharest.
No, because they've changed their name to FCSB.
Yeah, and you didn't know. So how can you then say, "Oh, you don't know these teams, you don't know ball"? You didn't even know they were Steaua Bucharest. You didn't know.
But so you claim to be,
just talking rubbish. You don't.
If Carragher don't talk about it, you don't know.
Let's start this. Let's separate them. Just separate them a bit. Okay, now. Carry on.
I tell you what, I was gonna come to West Ham next, but I'm not. I'm gonna come to this club here, Manchester United. Let's talk about Manchester United's chances. Dan, this is your opportunity to state your claim. You are currently 3rd in the league. Looks very, very comfortable, but I did say on the 12th man, and lots of Newcastle fans have said the same. We play you next. If we beat you at St. James's Park, we go above you, potentially into 3rd, depending on what Tottenham do. Does that change things? And if that was to happen, where do you see your season panning out, and how does it pan out for you? So this is your opportunity to lay it on the table. Where is your European season ending up?
Champions League. I don't see how we don't finish Champions League. I think we've got a couple of games over Spurs, so that gives us a little bit of a buffer there. I think the only thing that lets us down is that squad depth in the midfield that we are lacking. Like I said earlier on, we relied so much on Casemiro this season. Tobes mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Quite rightly so. Casemiro hasn't really been in form, and I think that is down to our over-reliance on. He is the heart of everything we do. So I'm confident we finish top 4. I mean, like, with respect to Newcastle, as long as the main thing is we can't lose at your place. If we don't, we need to get a result. We need to get a point, 3 points would be the dream, but we need to get a point. We cannot lose there. It's as simple as that. I think the season we've had has been unreal. Nobody expected United to be doing what they're doing. Let's be honest. I don't think anyone did. After the shit show from last season, everyone expected us to be in transition. Nobody knew if Ten Hag could do the job over in the Premier League. So I think we've been absolutely outstanding. There's been negatives. The 7-0 was a disgrace, but we bounced back from that, and that was my biggest worry. 7-0 loss. How do we move on from that? We moved on from that. We beat Betis. We knocked Fulham out the FA Cup. So I'm really happy. I'm absolutely astounded. I still think that United could potentially win the FA Cup and the Europa League. I'm still going to stick my hat on that because I think the players that we've got warrant us to be put. Can you still hear me? My camera's crap.
Yeah.
They warrant me. They warrant me to say so. Our attacking prowess, other than Weghorst, is stunning. You know, I think Rashford at the moment is in the form of his life. I think that I think that Garnacho, when he comes back, I know he's young, but it's that unpredictability when he comes onto the pitch. So I'm happy. I'm absolutely over the moon, and I won't hear anything otherwise.
Sorry, you said your attack is stunning. I don't think that's true. I think you meant to say Rashford is stunning, and the rest are just being carried.
Sorry, mate. Hang on. Say again. Hang on. I'm trying to get back in. I don't know. Sorry, Tobe. Say again, mate.
So you said your attack is stunning. I don't think I agree. I think Rashford is in stunning goal scoring form, and the rest are just sort of adding in their little bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah, that's your opinion, mate. I see what you're saying. I know, obviously.
Yeah, I want you to tell me why you think the rest of your attack is stunning.
Because it's not based just on goals, Tobes, for me. It's the way they moved and played together, the interchange that all three of them do together. The fact that Rashford can play on the left, right, up top. You've got Garnacho that can come in on the left. Anthony, okay, my opinion on Anthony will not change. He's a one-trick pony that just, for me, I don't understand how any manager who plays against Anthony doesn't understand that all you need to do is play him down the right and he will be no problem at all. Sancho's been hit and miss since he's come back, but I go back to the way that the front three have played most games this season. And look, as much as I see what you're saying, we're still where we are without a recognised striker. Like, I know, obviously, we've relied on Rashford, but I just think it's the work off the ball that has probably pushed us to where we are, essentially.
Adam, I'm going to come to you. What? How do you assess? We've heard from Dan from what he thinks Man United are going to do this season. Do you think they're going to get Champions League football, or do you think with Casemiro missing the next 4 games? Obviously, you guys play them in the semi-final, so there's obviously something there in that as well. How do you assess them finishing the season in the Premier League, sort of first and foremost?
Yeah, I think any answer's got the. I can look very silly here when it comes around to that semi-final. I still don't. I mean, goal difference wise, you guys have got. You've got mid-table goal difference set up. Like, it's been such a weird season. I know there's been some really good things, and I can understand why you as a Man U fan base are very excited. There's lots of good things to take from this season. But the fact that you can lose 7-0 randomly to another side in this league that isn't named Arsenal or Man City tells me that you cannot believe in this team to go out and clinch that third place. It feels to me like a very weak hold on that third place in the league. The good news is that behind you, you've got, with all due respect, a Spurs side that we have no idea what on earth is going on there. Maybe Tobes, you can illuminate that a little bit more for me. And then you've got the kind of rest of us fighting away. It's such a weird table, but I've got no belief in Man U holding on to that position. I think they could, but would I bet on it? Absolutely not.
I see what you're saying, but for me, what I will say back to that, it goes back to the mentality that we have in the manager that we've got. 7-0, yeah, completely agree. Unthinkable, unforgivable. But the fact is, if we were sat here after going on a losing streak of 3 or 4 games, following that, I'd agree. But the fact that 7-0 result is gone now, in the manager's mind, it's gone. As simple as that, and we've moved on from it. Is all I need to know where I think we'll finish the season.
Interesting, Lewis. Obviously, you guys gave Man United a bit of a beating at your place.
Yeah. That was one of the best days of my life.
How do you assess Man United now in their chances?
Well, I think their manager has done an incredible job, I've got to say. And until that Liverpool game, we're looking like a different side altogether. We play Man United game after next, so I'm expecting that to be a very, very different proposition to what we saw at Brentford earlier in the season. I imagine the absence of Casemiro is going to be a real kind of worry for United, but I would be surprised if they're not top 4. I would probably assume that, that I don't know. I was expecting them to hold on to third, and then the fourth to be kind of a bit of a toss up really between Spurs and Newcastle. But I think the general trajectory at United is incredibly positive. They've been a shambles for the best part of 10 years now, and you can see you can see some resilience there now.
I think the other thing you've got to mention as well is that the amount of games that Manchester United have played this season, we've played a lot of games, and we've still got a lot of games to come because of the cups we're in, because of the games that we've got that we need to play that are in hand. So I think again you have to go and look at Ten Hag there, and I agree with what Lewis said there. It's as simple as that. I think the mentality he's installed there has been just stunning, absolutely stunning. We wouldn't have done if we'd lost 7-0 last season with Ralph in charge or with Ollie in charge. It would have been open season. We'd have dropped farther down the table than Lawless's team have. Do you know what I mean?
Does that affect your?
You would have finished above you
in the season, though. You've just said you've got a lot of games still to play this season. Semi-final in the FA Cup, you've got the Europa League, you've got Premier League, with some games maybe midweek. Does that have an impact on you? Purely talking about the Premier League and finishing in the top 4 this season, because you've still got 2 other competitions to focus on.
I think I agree, and actually, what you're saying is it's a point that I made on the 12th Man podcast. If anything that is going to bugger us up, it is the fact that we are missing key player. We're going to miss an extremely key player for the next couple of games. Now, Newcastle away. Newcastle is a fortress this season. They have been absolutely fantastic at home. Still only lost 3 games in the league all season, I think, is it?
Yeah.
Defense is looking decent. So, I mean, we are going to have to go there and we're going to have to believe in ourselves. Now, Sabitza's obviously starting to play some more games. He's been out injured. I fully expect Sabitzer to start in the midfield with Fred. I don't think McTominay gets anywhere near there. And the thing I think we saw against Fulham, I know it was against 9 men, but this happened just before the 9 men incident, was we saw Bruno drop back into that role that Casemiro plays for us. And I don't think he looked terrible. I thought he looked like he could do a job, but then you're hanging your hat on someone doing a job, which is something that you don't want to hang your season on. So I'm not concerned about top 4. I think we'll get there. I think we'll be fine.
I think the thing is, I think with United, I do agree with Dan's prediction. I do think they'll get top 4, but the thing is, I badly want Tottenham, Newcastle, and Liverpool to make it hard, because I feel like up until recently it feels like Man United have been coasting, not by their own performance, but I mean as in like they've been picking up wins and points here while the rest just keep dropping points. And as good as Man United have been this year, as good as Ten Hag has been, we know that there are weaknesses in their squad, right? There are weaknesses in their play style, in their first 11 that we should really be capitalizing on, but we can't because we're so bad. Well, not Newcastle's case, guys, because I think Newcastle have overachieved this season, but I'm talking more so towards Tottenham and Liverpool's perspective. We've been so bad, right? So we need to try and pull Man United in. And I also think from Newcastle's perspective, Newcastle have not had a good 2023. And I feel like that loss in the League Cup, I think it should be fuel. It should be fuel for the upcoming game on Sunday, because I felt like Newcastle bossed that game in possession and were dangerous in parts, but just didn't have anywhere near as much cutting edge as Man United. So I always think that that's going to be the main threat that Man United have. Let's be real, Man United have better players than Newcastle, so at any given moment they can flip that game on its head. But I want Newcastle to actually take it to Man United and make it interesting, because if Newcastle beat Man United, it pulls them back in and it takes Newcastle potentially into 4th, depending on the Spurs results. So
why the thing is, I think you've disrespected Brighton a bit there, because you said Newcastle, Spurs, and Liverpool. Brighton are on the same number of points as Liverpool. But
you didn't let me finish. I'm not trying to disrespect Brighton.
Why do you mention Liverpool and not Brighton? That's what I'm saying.
Because Liverpool are a stronger side than Brighton. I'm talking about
it doesn't matter. The table's the table.
Yes, I know the table is the table. But the point I'm making is Liverpool haven't been good enough to capitalize on Man United this season. On paper, Liverpool should be ahead of Spurs, should be ahead of Man United, should be ahead of Brighton, and they've not done well enough this season. Mm-hmm. That's the point.
You don't work like that. We don't play on paper, my friend.
That's the league right now.
That's the league. Yep, look at the table.
I can
Brighton have a game in hand, so Brighton can go on 45 points with their game in hand. But
Brighton's games in hand are what, away to you?
Yeah.
I think Brighton are
home
basically
to Man United as well.
Yep.
But even if
Yeah,
they
Man
draw
U
that game, they go above Liverpool. So they're at the end of the day, as things stand, it's in their hands to finish above Liverpool. So they have everything.
You know what, Lawless, just for argument's sake, include Brighton. The point I'm making is this: Man United, as good as they've been, they're catchable. Like, you can catch Man United, you can pull them closer in this season. They're still in the Europa League, they're still in the FA Cup, right? We've just heard the issues with Dan about their squad. They can be pulled into this top 4 race, and I feel like so far in recent weeks, the main point I'm making is the teams below them have made it too easy for Man United.
That's Man United's next 4 games.
The thing I was going to say, to agree with Tobes as well, with Newcastle playing Man United, is the good thing with Newcastle is Isak is coming into some real form, and he made Eddie Howe made a big decision in taking Wilson out of the team and putting Isak as his main man for the time being. That's going to have 2 things. It obviously gives Isak a lot of confidence, but it also means that Wilson should have that fire in his belly when he brings him on, potentially in that Man United game, to get his place back.
Well, he didn't even come off the bench against Forest. I mean, he was on the bench. But there's some sort of illness that he's had for a while. But we'll come to that in another second.
We quickly just mention the possibility of Man United finishing outside the top 4. Like, that would be disastrous, I think, for their season. And it makes me so conflicted because obviously I don't want Spurs to get top 4. But, oh my God, seeing Dan's face, seeing these Man United fans, if they miss out top 4 and don't win that Europa League, wow, that's going to hurt. Surely.
Can I ask, where are you going to finish?
I was going to say exactly that.
We're going to finish with a trophy and out of relegation zone. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you're doubling down on your statement. Good.
Yeah. I'm doubling down.
Right. Couple of more clubs to go through before we touch on Newcastle. Before we finish, Tottenham Hotspur. Look, Tobes, you know the question and the conversation. We've talked about it already this week. Is around Antonio Conte. Still no decision. Still no confirmation of what's happening this season. Obviously, England's now record goal scorer. He's hit 20 plus this season for Tottenham again. Just lay out where you think your team, Tottenham, will finish in the Premier League in regards to the European race.
It depends. It depends on what actually happens with the manager. We're in 4th now, but Newcastle have games in hand on us. Brighton have games in hand on us. We don't know what's going to happen. I think over the next couple of weeks, we play Newcastle away. Yeah. Brighton are coming to ours in like 2 weeks, I think, and they beat us there last season. Man United are coming to ours soon. So we have like 2 or 3 matches against the teams around us. In fact, no, we play Liverpool, Newcastle. In fact, yeah, every single team around us.
These are your next 4. These are your next 4, Tobes. You got Everton away, Brighton at home, Bournemouth at home, and then you come to Newcastle after that.
Yeah, so as it stands with Conte, I don't think we'll get top 4 personally. I think we have everything in our disposal to get top 4. I think we have enough quality to get top 4 based on how the race has panned out this season. But I just feel like the way Conte is right now, he doesn't want to do the job, and it shows in the way he sets us out, and there's just too many players off form, etc. Really, really poor defense. Yeah, man. I don't see Spurs finishing top 4. Genuinely, I can't see Spurs finishing top 4.
Tobes.
Now.
Tobes, just because obviously we expected Conte to go quite quick after what happened, didn't we? We expected that to be done, but nothing's come out yet. Are you concerned if he stays that this could have a detriment to the season?
Yeah. That's literally the point I'm making. He doesn't want to be here, so I think he's been down in tools since the turn of the year, to be honest. So, especially, and now, like, I feel like he's burnt some bridges with some of the players. I think, me personally, I would have thought any human who's calling you, any person who's calling you like questioning your lack of effort, the immediate response is to show them that no, you do have what he's talking about. But some of our players will probably just use that as a way to cut ties with him from a relationship point of view. I just feel like he's just not really committed to doing the job required. I feel like his tactics are too predictable. I feel like he doesn't rotate the team enough. I feel like he doesn't make the right changes during the games, and I just feel like he makes it easy for teams to get at Tottenham right now. So yeah, I do think Conte staying will have a detrimental effect on top four.
I was speaking to a Spurs fan earlier, and he said he would take Redknapp till the end of the season. What would you?
That's ludicrous.
Harry or Jamie?
Really? In relation to Ryan Mason? No, yeah, Harry
Redknapp.
Redknapp.
Yeah, but I don't want Ryan. I don't know why you're saying in relation to Ryan Mason.
No, but you said it's ludicrous. But is it more ludicrous than Ryan Mason? Because Ryan Mason's
they're both ludicrous.
Give Nico Cranchar a call and Pascal Chimbonda. Let's get the team back together.
Yeah. Tim Sherwood was on TalkSport yesterday.
Don't get me started on Tim Sherwood.
You might get that to you later.
Yeah, right, that's your choice. Mason, Redknapp, or Sherwood.
Please don't tell me you're a Tim Sherwood fan.
Why would we want any of those three options?
No, but you've got to choose. You've got to choose. Gun to your head.
I choose neither. I would rather keep Conte than all of those three options.
You're dead then.
Can I ask a serious question, Toes? What's happened with Son this season? What do you think's happened with his form this season?
He's just had a bad season. It happens. Yeah. He's just had a really bad season. I think it doesn't help that the way Conte is using him this season, it doesn't help the way Conte is using him this season, because I feel like this season we're still asking, like we saw it in spells last year, where we're asking him to come and pick up the ball deep with his back to goal in our own half. That's not really his MO. He should be higher up the pitch running onto chances. But I feel like this season, chance creation as a whole within our team has been poor. We've not really created enough chances for him, but and as I said, I feel like the way Conte is using him isn't good. But at the same time, I think he's just had a really poor season. He's had a really poor season. I think in front of goal, he's not been as sharp. His wing play hasn't been the greatest for a couple of years now, but this season is downright shocking. His first touch, which is patchy at best, has been abysmal. The connection with Harry Kane this season is just not there, and it's not just his fault as well. I think Kane's playmaking this season has been off as well. Yeah, I just think he's just had a bad year, man. He's had a really bad year. It happens. And unfortunately for him, he's the wrong side of 30. So when he does have a season like, all the conversation of, oh, should we keep him? Should we sell him? Comes up. And I think genuinely, I don't think. Sorry, have I gone? Am I back now?
No,
you're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So my point on Son is I feel like with how he's performed this year, like, it's not the end of the world if Spurs were to go and sell him, provided it's for the right price. And if they're going to keep him, they just need to use him properly. Honestly, just use him properly.
Did no one tell Dan Potts that we're having a show? We're just kind of bypassing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, you said, why don't we invite Potts?
No,
because they crashed out of Europe. They embarrassed themselves in Europe.
But Potts was invited, but we know Potts is in a title race.
Yeah,
he's kind of top of the
higher level.
Looking down on all of his minions is what I said.
I think after they lost to Lisbon, like they lost all rights. They got embarrassed, so we'll just put them aside. We're still in Europe, Potts. That's why I'm here, obviously.
Look, anything else on the panel with regards to Tottenham where you think Tottenham might finish up?
You know what? Like Errol said earlier that getting top four, it's the most important. It's most important for Liverpool out of every other team, and I disagree because I think it's more important for Spurs to get top four than Liverpool, because next season there's potential rebuild that's going to be happening. Got a few players, like key players, even like Harry Kane, potentially Son, new manager. So they've got a whole new project. And if they're in the Champions League, obviously it's going to help with the caliber of manager they can attract and the caliber of player they can attract. If they're not in the Champions League, well, then they have to step down a level. You know, if they're in the Champions League, then when they're looking at a replacement for Conte, they can start to look at the names. People keep throwing Nagelsmann around or whatever, but that's why to them, like I think Liverpool I don't buy all of this. Klopp's going to leave necessarily. I don't think that's a given. I think it all depends on what they do for him in the summer window. But I think they can still afford to have a season out of the Champions League and then go hard next season. But I think Spurs, if they want to try and rebuild and keep in them positions chasing Europe, they have to get top 4 this season. You must. You must.
Yeah, we must. But so must Liverpool. That point doesn't even make sense. They're a team. Of course, it doesn't make sense. They're a team.
They're a much bigger club than Tottenham. So even if Klopp did leave, they could still attract great players. And
I don't think Jurgen Klopp. But the point doesn't make sense because I don't think with or without Champions League football, I don't think Jurgen Klopp leaves Liverpool.
Well, neither do I.
The reason why I'm saying they need Champions League football is from a financial perspective.
Exactly.
Unless they're planning on getting in some outside investment in summer, they absolutely need the finances from Champions League.
So do you?
I didn't say we didn't, but I don't know why you feel like it. I don't know. Yeah, you say so do we, but I don't know why you feel like that's less relevant for Liverpool.
Well, no, because Errol said that Liverpool need it more than Spurs, right? So let's look at it. Financial.
No, they need it just as much as Spurs.
Well, he said they need it more than Spurs. So what I'm saying is I think Spurs need it more because, yes, financial implications. Those financial implications also go to Spurs, but also the fact of Spurs having not got the pulling power of Liverpool. So when it comes to the market, you need
But who cares about pulling power when Liverpool don't have the money for the players?
Have you seen the news?
We've literally just seen reported that they're potentially pulling out the race for Bellingham because they can't afford him.
Yeah, but Bellingham's going to be.
Bellingham wants Liverpool over every club, and yet why are Man City the front runners? Because Liverpool.
Because he's going to go for like 150 million.
So they don't have the money yet. I'm just giving you an example why pulling power means sweeter fool when they don't have the funds.
Well, it does when players are fucking like, the price tag, of Norwich Football Club. Like, it's so at the end of the day, they can still spend 70 mil on a player, a Champions League level player. They're going to be able to do that. They're just not going to be able to justify 150 on one player.
But Lawless, the point I'm making is this, right? Liverpool signing someone like Bellingham was always a long shot, but the chances of them signing 70 million pound players, etc., it weakens. If they don't get Champions League football, they need that investment. They absolutely need that investment. And then when you look at
you, I think it's even worse.
The thing is, you talk about Spurs as if we're moneyed, and fair enough, rightly so. But even Liverpool, who are in a better position than Spurs, right? They have need to refresh their entire midfield. They need to sign some defenders, right? They might even need to they need to sign another right back as well. They need to sign another centre back.
They've also he's frozen, but so if you can hear me, let's talk about the fact they've got better scouting network than Tottenham.
I'm gonna change my internet. Sorry,
their scouting is better than yours though. At the end of the day, so they can still find gems and that in Europe. Whereas your scouting,
they can find all the gems they want, but the fact of the matter is this: the very best players in world football cost a lot of money. The players that can go into Liverpool's team and can play the way Jurgen Klopp wants and can get them from here to here, they're typically going to cost a lot of money.
It'd be funny after all this when Spurs come 5th and Liverpool come 6th.
Oh yeah, it'd be brilliant. It'll be brilliant. It's probably going to happen. It could happen.
It could happen. Yeah, it could easily happen. Easily.
Okay, let's switch gears and let's talk about another club. We've got 2 clubs to go. Let's talk about West Ham United. Of course, Lawless came on like a whirlwind and told everybody that he's one of 2 clubs still left in European football. And so, look, Lawless, state your claim. I think we all know your claim to potentially get in European football next season, but state your claim as to how your season's going to end this season. Go for it. And then we as the panel will assess that afterwards.
I think we just stay up. We win the Conference League. Dan gives me 50 quid. Tobes gives me 100 quid. I cash in those bets nicely. And then, we're going to be one of a few teams on this show that will be in Europe will be in the Europa League. There'll be one of the teams here will be in the Conference League. It could be Liverpool, it could be Chelsea even in the Conference League. Villa, I think, will miss out on that. I think Brentford could miss out. I don't know what happens. No, I think because with the Carabao, Man United one, it's 7th is still conference, so they'll get that. And Newcastle could get top 4. So we'll be in Europe at the end of the day, and we'll be playing Europa League teams. And none of these people can clown Europa League teams because they've been in it. Tobes will be in Europa League. So I don't want to hear no clowning, and I'll have the last laugh at the end of the day. It's going to be a rocky road. It's going to be a tough ride. It's going to be a roller coaster, but I think we've got the quality there. I think when I look at the other teams and I look at the players that we've got, look at Declan Rice today shining in England, right? No one around us has a player as good as Declan Rice. None of the teams around us.
Richard Edwards has just said, "Nice goal."
That typically happens with expensive signings. Big transfers, they go straight away, right? It's not a long, drawn-out negotiation. It's just that simple. First day, all right, mate.
Who have you got in the next round? Who have you got next round of the Conference League?
Ghent. We've got Ghent, KAA Ghent. We've got 5th in the Belgium League. So we'll be playing them. Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think going there. But I think we've got enough to get the job done. If we beat them, then we go on to either Anderlecht or Alkmaar in the semis. Both good teams. It's a shame, Tobes is in that's working. I'm sure he'd have grains of wisdom and knowledge coming out right now. And then I think that's a good pathway to the final. And if we get to the final, okay, we could play Nice. We could play, I'm trying to remember, Fiorentina, which is going to be tough. But I think, that occasion of the final, I think we will raise our game. I think we really will raise our game. And where I think we've been cruise control in some games, then we'd step up for the final. And then I think that's where we edge it at the end of the day.
Oh, no, lawless.
Oh, come on, Dan. Give us
start with that.
It's
nonsense.
What did I say that was nonsense? Go on.
Everything. Everything is nonsense. What you're saying. You're not going to win the final. You're not staying up in this division.
Why is that nonsense? Why is that nonsense?
Because it is nonsense. It's trite. It's jargon. It's rubbish.
What?
It's rubbish.
What are you smoking?
What are you smoking? We've just had to listen to you for the last 4 minutes. Go, well, I don't know. I think, we go into cruise control, and then when we have to, we put it up there and we'll get in the final. You ain't getting in the final, mate. You ain't getting in the Premier League next season. Nothing about what you've said makes sense.
Listen, boy, if you want to stay on your wife's good side, and because I bet you ain't told her you've bet 50 quid of her money. You better hope that's true.
Of course I have. She did say double it, but I said let's not take too much of his money.
Because she knows his money's safe.
Throw in the golf clubs.
Your money's not safe. You know that. I don't know when you're looking to pay up to, by the way. I don't know.
No, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I can give you that. That's fine. I can give that one up.
I mean, I did see you like a couple of weeks ago. You could have given it then.
Dan's money is safe. Dan's money is safe. You're not winning that. You're not winning that.
He didn't bet me. No, that's not the bet.
You talk with such.
Literally in a safe, Toes. Literally in a safe.
You're literally one of the worst sides in the Premier League. But because you're bashing up Iron Apple FC, you think you're going to win
Well, listen, but that's what I'm saying. You're saying all the teams are shit in it, but we can't win it. Like, it's ridiculous. At the end of the day, my bet with Dan bet me £50 that we would get relegated. Give me a quick answer. If that's so nonsense that we will stay up, if it's so ridiculous, I want everyone.
No, I'm not talking about winning the Conference League. I'm talking about winning the Conference League.
Yeah, but I know. But you was jumping in saying that Dan's money's safe. His money's not.
Yeah,
safe.
I thought he bet you about the Conference League.
No, he didn't. He was very stupid in that.
Let me put context onto it. This is why I think you go down, because you have this fantastic run to win this prestigious tournament. This is where I think you could bugger up, because what do you prioritize? What do you prioritize?
No. Listen, Dan. You say good. Put your chest on it. If what I said about us staying up,
you're going down. You're going down.
Right.
You're going down.
Okay. if what I said was so ridiculous and it's a load of tripe or whatever you said, everyone hand on heart, Pete, right? Are West Ham getting relegated?
Like a politician here, hand on heart.
It's not a fair bet though, because the expectations for West Ham, you guys spent, and I'm going to be nice because you were nice about bringing Brighton up before, so I'll be respectful here. You guys spent net 5th highest in the transfer window this last window in the summer. I'll be honest. The game that we played at the Amex recently, where we beat you guys 4-0, I have not seen a worse side this whole season. I'm shocked because I agree with you. On paper,
I've not seen a worse performance in my life supporting West Ham.
So what makes you think, like, genuine question, what makes you think suddenly David Moyes can rally this team to get them to stay up and do what you're saying when they've been abject?
No, because I think it's so tight down there. I don't think we need to go on some great escape and go on this big run. I think we just need to do just enough. We need to beat the teams like Southampton next. We need to beat those key teams in and around us, get a couple of draws. And I think the threshold, I think it'll be like 34, 35 points is what we need to stay up this season. It's going to be very low. So...
Lawless, I think there's one other person that wants to have
a vote. He wants to have a vote as well
on West Ham. He wants to come and have a say.
We'll
welcome in
this European failure. This team that's never done anything in Europe, never won a single.
I'm absolutely shocked.
Never won a bag of Lays.
I'm actually stunned that this guy has actually been given an invite for this show.
It's ridiculous. And the thing is, Potts, not only has he been given his invite, he's been running his mouth like he's the king of this stream, just chatting.
We're in Europe still.
Chatting so much shit about everyone's club. Oh no, but you're this, you're that. You don't need this, you don't need that. You are shit. You're rubbish. You're crap. You have no business being on this platform. You're rubbish and you're not going to win this competition. Stop talking. Please.
Listen,
I'm
like it or not, we're in Europe, mate.
So much chest. You're crap. You're actually crap. You're still here on match week 30, and you're begging for your manager to be sacked. And yet
we're still in Europe.
He's so bad, according to you, but you think the same manager is going to go and then win the Europa Conference League. It's an
I think the players will win it.
It makes no sense. Okay, so if the players will win it, so why aren't the players performing well enough in the league? One week with all David Moyes.
We've won every game in Europe.
No, but you've just said
against two. Who are these teams you've beaten?
Why haven't the players stepped up? When we question the players, you tell us it's David Moyes, and now you're telling us the players are going to step up. Which one is it? One is it?
They need a manager like Conte to motivate them.
No, do you know what? That press conference was very motivating. We all loved that. Him saying what sort of shit club Tottenham are. That was brilliant. But at the end of the day,
so if he thinks that about us, what do you think he thinks about you?
He probably thinks we're a fucking.
If he thinks that about us, what does he think about you? You're the shit on his shoe. You are literally the shit on his shoe.
We ain't serial failures like Tobes. Oh, what? Let's get
yes,
to
you
the
are.
dance.
Yes, you are serial failures. Yes, you are. You've not won a trophy. Jesus Christ. You've been relegated. What do you mean you're not serial failures?
Oh, here we go. There it is.
Not only have you won a trophy, you're relegated. He doesn't even think about you. You're not even in his mind. You're nobody.
Listen,
stay out of this one, please. Please, man. Allow it.
Listen, at the end of the day, right? Go on, Potts. Let's hear your nonsense.
This is actually Pete. Like, I love you, man, but this is criminal. This is actually criminal. You're talking about people qualifying for Europe through the league. They're not even. They're not even in the top half. They're in the relegation zone.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Look at Lawless get to the screen.
It's not called Battleground Europe through the league.
Still viable. That's why Lawless is doing this.
Pete, is this show called Battleground Europe through the league?
No.
Is that what it's called? Did I miss it? I didn't.
So why we got Brighton? Why we got Brighton fans on here and Brentford fans and Fulham fans in? If it's not through the league,
that's an option for them to qualify through the league.
Exactly, and there's no option for you because you're 18th in the league.
It's called the fucking winning the Conference League. We win that. We're in the Europa League, mate. Yeah,
you better win it. I'll tell you now, you better win it.
Everyone's just messaged and said that apparently Lawless paid me.
We are hanging on. You are hanging on for the Italy.
Before you come in, right? I was about to prove a point that Dan was talking a load of bollocks by saying it's nonsense for me to say that we'll stay up. It's complete tripe or whatever. I want to go round everyone. Honest opinion, not trolling.
Yeah, Adam's gone. He doesn't want to speak to Adam now because Adam said they're crap. So, right, who else to listen? Who else to listen?
No, from Pizza Pot.
Who else don't think we're shit?
Yes or no? Will West Ham get relegated? Just give it to my answer. Give it to me. Let's go round the room. I want your honest answer, right? We know what Dan thinks. We won't even bother going to him, right? And then this is how we're going to mug you off, Dan, right?
Okay.
Pete, honest answer, hand on heart. If you had to put your money on it, right? Are West Ham getting relegated? Yes or no?
I think they'll just stay up.
It will stay up. Pete says we'll stay up, so he's talking nonsense and tripe as well, according to you. Daz, what are you saying?
I've never said that.
I think West Ham stay up. Look, there's the points difference between goes from Crystal Palace down to Southampton, and there's only 4 points in the difference. It's all to play for, and I think West Ham will have enough quality to stay up.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's another one talking nonsense.
Hilarious.
Right, according to Dan. Right.
This is actually funny.
Obviously, Brighton are our bogey team, right? Did you say you were we're going down or staying up? Because you said we would shop.
I didn't know this was relegation battlegrounds. I'm confused. I didn't know where. When did it take
what
a
makes me
pivot?
laugh. 1 minute, it's all about Europe, and now it's can West
Was
Ham
this on
stay
the
up?
agenda?
Let's
I
go
don't
round.
know.
Let's go round and see if West Ham can stay up. 1 minute he's shouting because he deserves to be in Europe. Next minute he's trying to stay in the league.
Listen, Potts, we'll come to you in a minute. Yeah, we're just mugging off Dan. Just yes or no? Are we going down?
I think you'll go down. Now, purely, I'm interested to see what the fixture congestion will be like with the Championship and the Europa League next year.
Well, listen. Listen, you go in there with Dan. You go in Dan's corner, right? Yeah. Lewis, what are you saying? West Ham getting relegated, yes or no? Hand on heart.
Staying up.
Staying up. That's another one, apparently talking nonsense and tripe. Thank you. 3, 4, including me. Rich, what are you saying? Put your money on it.
I was saying at the start that I thought me as a Villa fan had graduated into the Battleground Europe chat and not the relegation chat, but it seems like I'm back in it now. So yeah.
we did help you get rid of Gerrard earlier in the season.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. No, I think you'll have enough to stay up. Yeah, I don't have you guys just going down.
That's 5 of us talking nonsense and tripe calling to Dan. Tobes, what are you saying?
You're shit. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Daz, clip it.
Done.
Probably not. No.
Oh.
I can think of 3 teams worse than West Ham. But I hope you get relegated.
Oh, well, yeah, you can keep hoping, but that's 6 of us now.
I've changed the title of the show though as well.
Daz is always on the button. He's always on the button.
Pops, what are you saying? Just give me an answer. Are we getting relegated or not? Real talk.
I don't care.
Just give me an answer, man.
You're staying up, but you better hope you stay up, and you're winning.
Thank you.
And you're winning the Europa Conference League apparently. But you're still going to sack Moyes when you win the Europa Conference League, apparently.
That's
absolute cloud.
That is not happening.
I
don't even want to.
Fair enough. Lawless. Fair enough, right? You've got me. But all I will say is, Pete, Daz, Lewis, Dan, Tobes, Rich, when he gets relegated, you are going to have to explain to him and apologise for getting this poor fool's hopes up. Because that's all you're doing. A little bit more hope. He's going to go off this stream tonight and go,
I can't wait to spend your
I thought Kevin Keegan was back then for a minute.
Yeah. I would love it.
It's going to be beautiful spending your wife's money, mate.
Okay, let me ask you one quick question because I've got to go. If you lose against Southampton, do you start to change your mind about staying up? Honest question.
Yes, I do. I think there's a good chance we go down. If we don't win that game, we're banging trouble. And we have to sack Moyes immediately because it's emergency stations. That's where we're at if we lose that game.
So what you're telling me then is for all this bollocks you've just ranted, you're telling me you're 1 game away from thinking you can go down. That's what you're telling me.
But I think we beat Southampton. I think we beat Southampton, and I think most people here would think we beat Southampton.
Who just drew against United and Spurs.
But Lawless, after that, you've got
Newcastle
that's coming to you midweek. Then you've got Fulham away, and then you've got Arsenal at home. So those 3 games after that are not easy. They're not easy games.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but we've also got Leeds at home. We've got Leicester.
I mean, you got
still
Liverpool as well.
I think we've got Brentford, which is going to be tough. Away, we won't win that game, to be fair.
Have you got Liverpool as well?
Yeah, we've got Liverpool at home, which, and this is the thing, call me crazy, but I do think we win that game. We're the only team. No, listen, we're the only team that Bournemouth beat Liverpool, by the way. And we're the only team down there who haven't taken a big scalp this season, right? I think that's our one.
Have you got us? Have you got us as well?
Yes, we have you at home.
I hope to fucking God that's the game that relegates you, mate. Oh my
God. Oh my God! If we beat you, you're done out here, mate. I hope that's the game that loses you top 4.
1 second, because I know Dan from Man United, I know Adam, and I know that Rich from Villa Pod need to go. I just want to say for you three in particular, massive thanks for you coming on and sharing your opinions. Absolutely top stuff. Just before you go, just share your channel, and Adam and Rich do the same just before you go. But Dan, obviously you're building a new channel, so just let us know where we can find you before you go.
Yeah, so at the moment, I'm just literally on TikTok at the moment. As I say, I didn't want to start halfway through the season, so I'm just building videos on there, which is going really well at the moment, getting a lot of interest on there. So it's United first, swap the I with a 1. And yeah, come and find me on there. Plenty of views on there, plenty of chat. Just talking about proper football, having a proper opinion, unlike that twat Lawless. Viable opinions that you can hang your hat on. Other than that, guys, thanks so much for having me on tonight. Lawless, it's been a pleasure, mate, and I cannot wait to see you go down, my friend.
Good luck with Unwanted first. Swapping guy with a 1. What's that about?
It had gone, mate. It had gone. Just like your chances of staying up this season, mate.
Right, we'll leave it there. Adam, just before you go, just shout out where we can find you.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Together BHA, there's 3 of us idiots that present about Brighton each week, and we talk about how we're confused as to where we are on the table. So, yeah, this has been great fun. Cheers, all. Really good loss.
Yes, thank you for coming and joining us.
Cheers, Adam.
Hey, cheers, everyone. Good luck with the season.
And, of course, Rich, you're really enjoying it, aren't you? Because you live in Newcastle. You're a Villa fan. Come on.
You two need to swap teams. What's going on?
Never
enjoyed
we can find you, my man.
Yeah, I'm on at Villa Park Pod. We're on YouTube, and obviously follow us on Twitter as well. Yeah, I'm regular guest on this channel as well, so always love coming on. Great show, and yeah, if you guys fancy a bit of Villa chat every now and again, give us a sub. And yeah, been great. It's been a pleasure. Really good fun. So see you soon.
Cheers, Rich.
I'm definitely going to subscribe because I want to see that stream you make when you don't finish in the top 6.
He's got it out for Villa today.
He's got it out. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's because you're in claret and blue. That's what it is. That's the problem. It triggers him. He's like a ball with red.
Where's that come from, man?
Right, see you, lads. Thanks a lot. Take it easy.
Get out of here, man. Why are you even here talking about?
Man, I just wanted to be honest, I just wanted to troll Lawless, man. That was all I wanted to do. I've kind of done that now, so I'm going to try
to
fuck
on your
off.
Show and you ask while I'm on this show, like.
Listen, but my show's called The Race for Europe. I thought this was through the league, man. So I see Brighton and Brentford and Villa and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, surely West Ham aren't in there, man.
No, do you know what? Pete respects these clubs. Unlike you, he respects these.
This is coming from someone who asked me. This is coming from someone who actually asked me why Pete was on the Race for Europe show, because Newcastle have no place being.
That's true. I saw that bit.
I insinuated that, listen, West Ham weren't getting the same opportunities as early, right? I just said, is it because of the money? That's what I wanted to know. Is it because of the money? But at the end of the day, Pete, he gives Brentford and all them a chance because they're in a race for Europe. They're actually in a race for Europe. But you've got them on the mid-table show. So, we just got to talk about that. I think you've mugged yourself off there, Potts.
Nah, not at all, man. Not at all. It's all about who's in Europe on my channel.
Last but not least.
Well, not you, mate. Not you. You're not in Europe.
Not anymore.
You ain't in
no.
Europe. Yeah.
Not anymore. We got a title to win, mate.
Concentrate
on staying up, mate.
Guys, let's talk about Newcastle United. Of course,
favorite club. Yeah.
The club that you used to support, Lawler. Sorry. Anyhow, It's been doing the business. We are currently sitting 5th in the league, as we talked about with Dan, Man United fan. If we win at St James's Park against Man United in our next game, we could potentially, and it all depends on what Spurs do in their next game, we could be sitting in 3rd position. Now, look, Daz, I'll come to you, one of the Loaded members, one of the team. Just tell me where you see Newcastle United's European campaign ending up this season.
Well, I don't only have to give you my opinion, Pete. I can give you the opinion of the full loaded team, because we did our show on there on Tuesday night on the European run-in, and we all actually put Newcastle in the top 4. I think one of us put Newcastle in 3rd, and everyone else more or less. I'll just unhide my spreadsheet. We all put Newcastle in either 3rd or 4th. 2 of us put Newcastle in 3rd, and 3 of us put Newcastle in 4th. So yeah, in the top 4 in the Champions League, and a lot has to happen for that to come true. But we are in the mix.
In the mix is what Daz said with regards to Newcastle. Look, I'll give it to the rest of the panel. Lewis, Lawless, Tobes, what are your thoughts with regards to Newcastle? Where do you think we're going to finish this season from what you've seen so far?
I hope that you make it. And, I think the best team I've seen this season against Brentford has been Newcastle. I think Eddie Howe's done an unbelievable job up there. Just unbelievable. It's whether the pressure gets to the team or not, I think. That might end up being a telling factor. You haven't been there for a long, long time. But I hope you do it. It's been a real superb turnaround, and you haven't done it with ridiculous big money signings, although you could have done. And I think that's to the credit of the club, actually. So, yeah, I hope you do it. You're in a good position to do it.
Lawless, Tobes, what do you think Newcastle's chances are? And look, I'll add an addition in there. We've seen from a Newcastle perspective the resurgence of Alexander Isak after his 5-month layoff, his injury. He's now back playing. He's now starting. He scored a couple of goals recently. He's looking like he's on fire.
Yeah.
What do you think he might bring to the table in the games coming up, and where do you think Newcastle will finish?
I'm not going to lie. A couple of weeks back, I was looking at Newcastle negatively because of your form, thinking they're just slipping, they're struggling to score goals, etc., etc. Not that you were out of the race, but I felt like Liverpool had made a big push. Obviously, they went like on a 4-game win streak or something like that. But Liverpool are just poor, man. They're really poor, and Spurs are really poor. So the door has been open for Newcastle all season.
Yeah,
I think it remains open for Newcastle, and I feel like Isak coming into form at this point of the season is problematic for us and for Liverpool, because that's the one thing that's been lacking in your games. The ones certainly I've watched this side of the year, no cutting edge. Like I look at games like Bournemouth away, even West Ham at home I think that was this side of the year as well, where Newcastle, like you're a better side, but you just don't have enough to go that one step further and dead the game. And I feel like having Isak not only fit and firing is a different proposition, and one that I hadn't really given much thought to, because he'd been basically a non-entity for the majority of the season because of his injury. So I think it puts you in good stead, and it puts top 4 back in your control. It puts it back in your hands. So it was out of your hands in recent weeks, and now it's back in your hands. If you win your games in hand, as difficult as they are, if you win your games in hand, you're 4th. So generally speaking, I think Newcastle have got a really, really good opportunity to get top 4 this year, and just need to go full throttle. I'm saying this as a Spurs fan. I don't want this. I want Spurs to finish top 4, but I'm speaking objectively. I think you got a really good chance of getting top 4.
And Toes, I suppose that the other thing is that we play you in a 6-pointer at towards in our 5th game that's remaining.
Yeah.
So interesting times.
Where is that? Home or away?
We are home.
Yeah. at Newcastle.
Ooh.
So yeah,
We'll lose that. We'll lose that.
We've got Man U coming to us next. We've got in a few games' time, like Daz has said, we've got Spurs coming to us. We've still got the rearranged fixture where Brighton come to us at St James's Park. So you got a few teams there that still have to come to St James's Park. We've still got to go to Brentford within that.
And you got your game in hand against the Europa League, the Europa Conference League champions elect.
So once we finish
London Stadium, though.
Once
that's
we
what
finish
I said.
Man
Got an away
United,
game against the Europa League Conference League champions elect.
We drew with them at St James's Park, by the way. Something you won't do.
yeah. So the fifth of April, straight after the Sunday game with Man United, we go to the Olympic Stadium, and then Lewis, we come to you. We come to you, and then Rich is obviously gone, but then after that we come to Rich. So these next 4 games are not easy for Newcastle United, and we said it on our European running that's put together on Tuesday night. Great show. Looking at all the fixtures of all the clubs, it is not an easy run for Newcastle United, but I just believe, in my opinion, and Daz, you might agree with this, you might not, if we can get through this run of fixtures with maybe 2 or 3 wins, if we're lucky, I think that stands us in fantastic stead, with probably still games in hand on the likes of Tottenham, like we said, and maybe Liverpool, that we're in a position to really kick on for this top four space. It's an intriguing situation. But I just want to
just on that, Pete, I'm just looking back at what we said, and let's you picked up the next 4. We said that we would beat Man United, that we would beat West Ham, that we would draw to Brentford, and we would lose against Aston Villa. It was that was a strange. It was a collective that we neither did I, but we got voted out.
Yeah, I was voted out. I personally thought that we would maybe lose to Brentford and beat Aston Villa, just because I did not want to be in a position to lose to Aston Villa. That was just my opinion. That was all. That was what I threw out there. But I was outvoted. I've got to be honest.
So was I.
But like, look, with regards to this, Alexander Isak, what are we thinking? Are we thinking that he is a player that could make the difference for us, Lawless? What are you thinking? Obviously, you've had your issues with Antonio and Scamacca, been talked about with Wilson in comparison. But what do you make of Isak for Newcastle this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a quality player, for sure. Obviously, I don't think he's hit his level yet. Do you know what I mean? To what he's capable of. It's very interesting that you're wanting, like, you're talking about wanting Tony. In fact, actually, that you would take Tony when you've got Wilson. I know Wilson's injury prone, but he's a backup striker to Isak, who is quality. You can pop up in those key moments, and I think having someone like that could just help you get the edge on it. And I've been really going back and forth on Newcastle getting fourth. The other day I was thinking, I think Liverpool could have enough there to have a run. They are quality, but at the end of the day, they're still a bit shaky. Their squad has some holes in it, and I think there's a little bit of a morale issue around the club at the moment. And everything's all happy fun time at Newcastle. The home ground's buzzing. Your home form's going to be key to get you there. And that game against Spurs at home is huge, absolutely huge. And you win that, I think that's you finishing above Spurs. I think that momentum, and I think Spurs could end up potentially finishing 6th. I think it could go Newcastle 4th, Liverpool 5th, and Spurs 6th, which is good, obviously, for Tobes, because they won't get the Conference League that he, couldn't get out of the group stages for last time. So he hasn't got to worry about that. So yeah, I think it's so tough, man. But yeah, I think you just might have. I think the good feeling, good vibes around Newcastle could just be enough for you to edge it. It's going to be
Let's
tight.
see,
And there'll be points in it.
Everyone's got a chance. Everyone's got a chance.
Yep.
You're in the worst position, I think, with everything that's going on.
We're the team in fourth. How are we in the worst position?
You are in fourth, but your manager hates you and he wants out. Like, so at the end of the day, you can end up with Ryan Mason managing the top four challenge.
Still been able to pick up points in spite of that.
All right. Well, if Ryan Mason gets top four, then give him the job full time. Do an Ollie. Get the contract out. Let him write whatever number he wants. Yeah. Tottenham are back. Ryan Mason's at the wheel.
Nagelsmann is available. Give me
no, fuck off, man. He's not going from Bayern Munich to fucking Spurs, man. Come on. You laugh at me about Poch, and then you come out with that. Like, come on, relax yourself.
All right, cool. Relax. Okay, cool. Fine.
But from Bayern Munich to Spurs, is there a bigger downgrade than that?
Nagelsmann has apparently been sacked tonight, or is very
apparently confirmed he's been sacked.
Yeah. Okay. So there's already talk of Tuchel being the replacement of Bayern.
He's been appointed.
Oh, is he at Bayern?
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. He's the new Bayern coach.
Wow. So is that where your confidence is coming from? Do you think that could be potentially the next man in line for you?
I do, and I think Spurs would be stupid not to go for Nagelsmann.
Oh my God. You don't learn, do you? You don't learn. Like, as a club. Even if you did get him, it just smacks of another manager that's too big for your club, that is going to get pissed off with your owners.
How is he too big for our club? How?
Well, he's a bigger manager than you should be attracting. Bayern Munich to Tottenham is a fucking.
He's not better. He's not a better manager than Conte, right? The only trophy he's won so far in his career are the trophies he won last year, the league at Bayern, which is a given for any manager that goes there. Prior to that, he managed Leipzig and Hoffenheim. How is he too big for Spurs?
Because he's just come from Bayern Munich and he's being touted for the Real Madrid job.
He's been sacked. It's not like he's been given to us in the silver platter. He's been sacked by Bayern Munich. He's been sacked.
But yeah, harshly.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was justified. But your notion that he's too big for Spurs is crazy when the managers that we've had before him were bigger than him. Jose Mourinho and Conte.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like both of those managers are very they're very volatile managers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and Nagelsmann isn't. Nagelsmann isn't. Yeah, Nagelsmann is literally a project manager.
Yeah, literally. But that's not the project. Like, he's literally being linked with Real Madrid.
Based on what?
He's literally being linked with Real Madrid.
Where?
Yeah,
show me the link.
It's everywhere. It's online. Everyone's being touted for the Real Madrid job.
Pochettino's on their short list as well.
Do you really think someone's gonna? That's like, you know what I mean? Going from the penthouse to the outhouse, man.
Listen, I don't disagree with you in terms of stature. But he's been sacked. And
every man gets
whether
sacked.
you like it or not, Bayern Munich is the only club that he's managed that were on a platform much higher than Spurs. Every other club he's managed were either inferior or on a similar platform.
Yeah, and now you've got a taste of the fucking the good life, the high life. You're not going to go back to mediocrity.
So let me tell you this. So in the summer, so basically you said Real Madrid. Who else?
There's going to be a host of. I mean, it depends on it.
In world football, there are only about 3 or 4 clubs on Bayern's level: Barcelona, Man United, Real Madrid, Man City. Which of these?
Yeah, but there are clubs that are still on a higher level than Chelsea.
No. You said how can you drop?
Yeah, that's a massive drop. This is what I'm saying is the drop isn't. It's not like just a drop. It's a huge.
Yeah,
drop.
So I'm asking you a question. Yeah. The clubs on Bayern's level or less or lower, which clubs are moving for Nagelsmann right now?
Well, again, it depends. Who's going to still be there? Like, Potter could get sacked.
Come on, Potter's not going anywhere. They're literally in 10th, and he's still in the job.
No, I know that.
Could wait till the end of the season. Nagelsmann could wait.
If it keeps spiraling down, that's what I'm saying. If they keep, you know what I mean, they get knocked, but they're getting knocked out of the Champions League for a fact. They've got Real Madrid next. They could finish bottom half of the table. They could keep losing. The pressure could be too much, and they just sack him. If I don't think Klopp will leave, but if Klopp does leave, there's an option there. There's clubs that around Europe, in Spain, whether it's Italy, that could be looking for a new manager in the summer, all more attractive than Totspur. So
Okay,
Listen, I don't disagree with you when it comes to clubs being more attractive than Spurs. I just don't think that Spurs going for Nagelsmann is crazy unrealistic. I don't see that. I don't see that at all.
I think they'll go for him. I think they'll try and go for him, but I've got a feeling that he will wait until the end of the season to assess his options.
He's got to look at Conte, right?
But
Conte's price and say
I think that Conte may well leave. Ryan Mason comes in and they kind of assess their options in the summer depending on the situation, which is not what you want, Tobes. But what I want to do now is just to round up with us that is still in the chat right now. We'll go from Daz to Lewis to Tobes to Lawless. Where do you think your team will finish come the end of the season based on our discussions and our opinions on the panel as well? Now, obviously, it's different for you, Lawless, because obviously we're talking about you guys fighting relegation, but you know, your question is going to be slightly different. But Daz, I'll start with you. Where do you think Newcastle will finish by the end of this season?
Yeah, fourth.
Confident.
So Champions League football.
We did a full show on it, so yeah, it's not a done deal, but if everything falls into place, fourth for us.
Okay, Lewis, from a
ninth
perspective, where are you going for?
I think we'll finish 9th.
Wow, really?
Wow. Yep.
A position down from where you're currently at.
Yeah, I think Chelsea will probably overhaul us, unfortunately. But that would be a sensational finish.
I can see that.
So Fulham would finish 10th then, because I think you'll finish above Fulham.
Yeah, we've got to finish above Fulham. Well, they're without Mitrovic for probably most of the rest of the season, I'd have thought. So
yeah,
he's important to them.
Yeah, like obviously you keeping Tony being not banned for the rest of the season is critical.
Yeah.
So, and I think you've got like your run of fixtures. I think are quite favourable though. You obviously got us. I think you've got Everton. You've got a few teams that are down there.
Yeah, we've got Forest, Wolves, but we've also got Man City's the last game of the season. We've got Spurs,
Brighton.
Next 3 are really tough. Really tough. So if we get one win out of them 3, I'll be happy with that. But yeah, I'd be really happy with 9th.
And massive. We said actually that of the teams from 4th to 7th that Brentford play all five of those clubs, so they have a huge say on European positions.
Yeah,
interesting. Tobes, what are you going for end of the season? Where you think you finish up for Spurs?
Honestly, it depends on the manager situation. If things remain as is and Conte stays in the job or Ryan Mason comes into the job, I don't see Spurs finishing in the top 4. I would expect one of Newcastle or Liverpool to get it. If Spurs move Conte on and can bring in a competent manager who can galvanize the squad, then I think we can get top 4. I think we'll finish top 4. I think we have the fight. For me, we have the firepower to get top 4, and I feel like we've got the know-how on Newcastle to get top 4 as well. I just feel like what's letting us down is the coaching, which Newcastle have in bundles right now with Eddie Howe. Much better coach side at the moment. So for me, it honestly depends on the manager. If we get a good competent manager in, or we even get if Conte stays, maybe even a motivated Conte, then I'll back Spurs for 4th. But as it stands now, I don't think we're going to finish in the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, honest opinion. Lawless, slightly different for you. Are you getting European football through the Europa Conference League, winning the trophy, which then qualifies you, if I'm right in thinking, for the Europa League next season?
Yep. And can you do it? Can you answer in a Jamaican accent, please?
Well, it's my Geordie accent that I think is highly accurate. But yeah, I could do that. Well, hey, man, like, you know, we'll be finishing 16th in the league, man. And we will be winning the Europa Conference League. And it's in European football next season. Why are you, man, like? Fucking the time is all mine. We will, there you go. We will be doing it. We will finish, I think, 16th and win the Conference League. And I tell you what, this summer, right, there's going to be a lot of shows. I might just do like a tour on everyone's channel, everyone's shows, right? And Tobe has to come with me, and it's gonna be glorious. Yeah,
I can't wait. I can't wait for all of this to get clipped up. I'm glad. I
Lawless
really hope someone's following all these streams.
So equally, Lawless just said if they win the Europa Conference, he wants to do a tour of all the channels.
I'm doing
equally, if Tobes they don't, I think you need to do a tour with Lawless on all the channels. If they don't win it, I think
just slate him.
Well, come on in. Put your
No,
balls out there, man.
I'm not doing a tour. It's fine. I'm just gonna slam you wherever. I'm gonna slam you. I'll be in the comments. Fine.
Listen, join the Lawless Trophy parade. Yeah,
Tobes will pop up wherever you are, Lawless. Like if you don't win the Europa Conference, whatever show you're on, he'll just pop up. He'll just appear.
You know what? You know what we'll do? Do you know I want to do a show, right? And you know them open top buses, you can get them tour buses around London, yeah? I'm gonna get Tobes, I'm gonna get Potts, all of them, right? We'll come on, we'll get on top of the bus, I'll film it, we'll have an open top bus parade, yeah, ourselves. They can join me on the parade. It'll be beautiful, yeah. The Lawless Trophy parade. It's gonna be a party all summer. It's gonna be brilliant. Tobes is gonna be in there in the corner looking like that, yeah, with his party hat on, his cake, you know, they're going stale, and he'll have like his drink and he'll be crying into it. Oh, it's gonna be, I'm telling you, mate, it's gonna be a great summer. Like my redemption for last season.
Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you guys on tonight. Brilliant to have everyone's thoughts and opinions. You know, we start from Rich from the Villa podcast. We've got Lewis on tonight from Besotted Bees. Lawless yourself. You've got Tobes. You've got Dan from United First. Potts even made an appearance on the back of that. You've got Adam from from Together BHA, and you've also got Errol as well. It's been a great show. As David R said, it's been an epic show tonight. Really, really enjoyed it. This is why we do Battleground Europe on LoadedMagNUFC, because we want all the opinions from all the other clubs out there. This is what we love to do on this channel. So massive thanks to everyone that's on the show tonight. And Daz, you can be keeping a stern kind of eye on the comments and everything tonight. So really appreciate that. Absolutely spot on in your opinion as well of Newcastle. Great as always. And then if you want to see us out with the sponsors before we wrap up.
Yeah, let's give a quick shout out to the sponsors. So first shout out to the RadiatorShed.com, and as we put some of the lads in jail, put Tobes and Dan in jail. That can the bars for the sold out tour. So shout out to Russ there, and these are some of the radiators that are on offer. So go check out the Radiator Shed and check out the latest he has going there. Also shout out to H2O Bathroom Design Co., the Northeast's largest supplier of Velcro and Botch bathroom wear. Team Valley Gateshead, over 20 years established, run by the family. Get down to the showroom on 11th Avenue, Team Valley Estate, Gateshead, and cool you down there, Dan, for that one. And here's some of the bathrooms. If you're interested, wherever you might be in the country, they can sort you out. Some cracking bathrooms there if you're thinking about upgrading or know someone that needs build a new house or whatever the case may be. That is a shout out to our sponsors, Pete. But yeah, great show tonight, and cheers for everyone that joined us.
Definitely, and thank you to the streamers from Brighton, from the Villa Pod. Thank you for streaming your shows or our show live to your channels as well. I'm sure we'll be doing it again with various other channels as we move forward. But thank you to everyone in the chat as always. Thank you for Lisa being a fantastic mod and all the great questions that have come in. Sorry if we haven't answered all your questions. It's just been a great chat with so many different people. It's just not been able to materialize. But we'll be back. There'll be more coming up in the days to come. Keep an eye on LoadedMagNUFC. If you haven't already, like this show on the way out. Click that subscribe button. We're on the way to 6K. Come and join the Loaded family. And of course, we'll keep marching on. And shall we see ourselves out on a bit of a howl?
Yeah,
You know,
let's go.
I quickly answer David R's question. Actually, I want to quickly answer that because I have a West Ham shirt that has Lawless on the back. Right? Would Tobes wear a West Ham shirt with Lawless on the back if they somehow win the Conference League? I have a West Ham shirt with Lawless on the back. What are you saying, Tobes? You were talking about putting your money where your mouth is, yeah? You won't come on.
Put your money. Put your money down.
That's all you care about is winning back your money down. That's all you care about. You don't want to put anything on the line because you know, like if you were so confident.
Wait, what's the challenge? Sorry.
If we win the Conference League, you have to wear West Ham shirt with Lawless on the back.
Are you going to pay for that shirt?
I own the shirt. I have it.
Okay, so what about if you don't win it?
Well, I'll be mudded, wouldn't I? You know.
No, that's not enough. I don't care. You're mudded right now. That's not enough.
I could see the shirt catching fire.
I'll admit that you know Tottenham are.
I don't care what you admit. If you don't win it, you wear a Spurs shirt. In fact, if you don't win it, you wear a Spurs shirt, an Arsenal shirt, and a Man United shirt.
Oh, no, that's not fair.
Yes. He's right.
And me. Simple.
To me, Tobes is right. The kind of the odds are in your favor to win this competition. So you should be more confident than not about winning this competition. So I don't think that deal is a bad deal, if I'm honest. Do you agree?
Let me
it's got to be done.
And I'll get back to you on
Lewis agrees.
Why not? Why not? It would be quality.
Listen, I need to think about that. Yeah, race for Europe. I'll get back to you on race for Europe about that.
Clip this bit up and put it straight to Mr. Lawless. The start of that next show. Cool.
Potts will get you to answer this question. I think Tobes is absolutely spot on. But until then, Daz, take us out. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll speak to you all soon.
How'd you like that?
Drink it like me, then tell me if you like that.